2, 1, go.
Good evening. It is Sunday, the 26th of February, the first of 3 nights of discussion and debate, where you, the viewers at home, and those upstairs in Rubix will get to hear the answers to all the questions that they have to all the candidates in this year's student union elections. Tonight we hope to have many questions from those who are upstairs in Rubix, and of course if you have any questions, please tweet them with the hashtag SurreyDecides. We have a whole team of people waiting to ask those questions on your behalf. This is expected to be a lively debate, and it is quite acceptable to challenge ideas. The only thing that we're asking is that there is no hate speech, no racism, no sexism. This isn't censorship, this is just common courtesy. So please be respectful to all the candidates tonight. They're here doing their best for you. But now we're going to go upstairs to Rubix for the support zone candidates, and this is the first time this year in which Surrey decides.
Ladies and gentlemen, chairing the debate for the Support Zone, please welcome Emma LaLancette.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Surrey Decides Question Time. During this evening's debates, we're all here to find out more about the students who have put themselves forward to be your representatives for the year to come, to help you decide how to cast your vote when voting opens. We are not here to victimize any student who has voluntarily come forward to bring something to the students at Surrey. So we encourage all students in the room and those watching live online to submit questions via Twitter or Facebook using the hashtag SurreyDecides. However, please be aware that any form of hate speech or abusive language will be taken very seriously. Thank you all for listening, and please welcome on stage the candidates for student support. Okay, so to start tonight's debate, the first question is a preset question, which they all had the opportunity to look and prepare their answer for. So the question is the following. Do you think that it is the university's responsibility to ensure the well-being of students, or is there more that the students can do to help themselves? So we'll start to my left and go all the way to the right, so with Jamie.
Hi. I think it is the university's responsibility to provide well-being resources and services. Some of these, they can, with these services, they can ensure that that well-being issues are resolved. But some of them, it's not so easy. Like if students need to seek help themselves. So I want to work in the support zone to continue their work and help make sure that everyone knows about the services that they can seek. Thank you.
Okay, so I think it's the university's responsibility to empower the students to really be able to help themselves and each other, because ultimately the university is a learning institution. It provides an education, but the well-being of those students is going to directly impact the quality of that education, especially when you think about the calibre of the students that Surrey is really hoping to attract, and traits such as perfectionism that accompany those students. So essentially, the university has a basic obligation to provide well-being for those students. but they should be going above and beyond. Like, they want to be recognised as a university with exceptional student experience. To do that, they have to invest in their students. They have to care about their students. Those students have to feel safe and home here at Surrey. So essentially, if you think about something like the Centre for Wellbeing, that's designed to support students when their personal issues might affect their study or their ability to cope. But they also provide resources and workshops on self-care, because if you increase the self-care, it's going to be better for the students and for the service. It's going to benefit the whole community, but it only happens if you have both. You need to have one to have the other. So I think that the university needs to provide the services so the students feel able to help themselves.
Hey, it's my opinion that the university, in its majority, should in fact be helping students via the support zone. Because for the first years, it'll be their first time living independently. For second years, it'll be the first time living independently, especially off campus, when we don't have that sort of infrastructure that we do have on campus. Third years and postgrads, you have such an increased workload. Again, that support is just like necessary to be able to get the results that you desire. And then for those in placement, again, you can feel cut off from university life and the university campus. So if that university support isn't there, you can feel so alone. But at the same time, I do feel that students can also contribute, because we're not completely helpless. We are adults at this point. So I believe it is communication between the university and the student population, as well as collaboration, that would help towards a better support zone.
I think it's the university's responsibility to provide help and support for students, and I also feel like the students, when they need help, they're supposed to reach out to the university to support them in any way they feel like.
Hi everyone. I believe that students do have a personal responsibility to reach out to the support systems available at the university. In an ideal world, obviously, the university would be able to ensure the well-being of every single student, but with 14,000 plus students this year, this just isn't logical. Though saying that, I do believe it's the university's responsibility to ensure that they are providing and promoting well-being services. As mentioned in my manifesto, I don't believe that these services are being advertised and promoted enough at the moment, and therefore students are missing out and therefore struggling unnecessarily. I believe that once students have connected with a wellbeing service, then it should become the university's responsibility to ensure their well-being. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. The next questions will be directed to, I'll ask a specific question to each candidate regarding their manifesto. So I'll start with Katie.
Hi.
Hello. So your first point is about expanding the Happiness Cafe.
Yes.
So not a lot of students are aware of what the Happiness Cafe is, so if you could just briefly tell us more about the concept of it, and then tell us about your involvement and how you're planning to improvement and how you think that would help attract more students.
Okay, so the Happiness Cafe runs in the front room every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. and it is just a positive space. There's colouring, there's tea, there's biscuits. It's just a really nice place to be. But not everyone knows that it's there, and it's not always accessible. If you think people have sports on Wednesdays, or maybe, for example, the vet students study on Manor Park, so it's too far for them to go. So I think if we can expand it by bringing it to the other campuses, everyone can enjoy that space. You know, it's not a place that's going to fix all your problems, but it is a place where you can just breathe and be calm and spend time with people who are like-minded with you and enjoy that time that you have.
I'll ask the next question to Katie. It's to Izzy, sorry. So you mentioned creating the induction program for students with mental health problems. Why mental health specifically? And have you thought of any programs for different health issues?
Yeah. So there was a statistic in The Guardian last year, which is out of students who were 54% of students who were in the survey to do with mental health said that they haven't sought help. Knowing, sorry, could you come back to me?
Of course. So about the mental health issues, why do you want to focus on the mental health specifically and not any other health issue? And also, what would be your program about?
Okay, I think it's important that we support students with mental health problems because mental health problems can cause students to leave the university and sorry, can you skip me?
Of course. Let's go towards Jamie. So as president of the LGBT Society, what were your involvements and contributions, and how do you feel as your position as a president could help you towards your future support zone in the committee?
As president, I ran with my committee a society that brings people who identify as LGBT to a space where they can just meet other people, like a nice social space of biscuits and drinks, and we would just gather people there and have a good time. And our committee also would be dedicated to making sure that everyone felt safe within that space, and just supported them. And I'd also, alongside that, me and the vice president would also go to meetings of the LGBT plus equality group that met to discuss welfare concerns on campus and within the university to help LGBT people. And so I would use that experience to continue my involvement with the LGBT equality group, taking concerns from students who have concerns and bring them to the group to help everyone. And also I try to work with the other minority groups that operate on campus.
Thank you, Jamie. I'll pass on to Goodness. So since we have not received your manifesto, I was wondering if you could mention the 3 main points, like just do a live manifesto and talk about what will you be doing during the support zone.
Okay, for my manifesto, I would be helping small-scale business owners to promote their business and everything, because student entrepreneurship is something that I'm very, very passionate about. I like to see students that are studying and have their businesses. It's not just about going to Burger King or one place to go work, but like trying to build up your own business and have something for yourself, make your own money. And also, in my manifesto, I included the fact that I'm going to build relationships with course reps, like to help them to encourage their fellow students and everything. But when I researched, I found out that the course reps, they already know what to do, but the problem is that most students don't know that they're supposed to reach out to the course reps. So it's more like, okay, for example, me, when I came to University of Surrey, I had problem getting to know my fellow students and everything, and I didn't know how to reach out to my course rep. I didn't know like how to get to people and everything, but now I'm trying to build this platform where, or rather, I'm trying to make students get to reach out to their course reps when they have issues with their academics, to their course reps, and to they know they're supposed to go to their personal tutors, but at least to reach out to people that's supposed to help them academically. That's basically the second manifesto, for students to reach out more to people that are going to help them academically. And yeah.
Okay, thank you, Guinness. Well done. Last is Connor. So you seem to have been very involved in several projects in society. So on your manifesto, you wrote you were president of the Survivalism Society and then treasurer of BioSoc, that you work closely with societies, and Surrey Student Switch Off Ambassador. So I wanted to know which position that you held has helped you most to prepare for your role. Like, could you elaborate on the position?
Well, I would probably have to say it would be the president of Survivalism, because it was a new society this year, so we did have quite a few concerns during the winter months. So that was a good time where planning and communication really, those sort of things I was able to develop. We then had our first event, which trying to lead that event with 72 people was an especially interesting challenge. And trying to get across the communication to those individuals so we could then make sure that their trip was not only fun but also safe at the same time is probably that which I would say is the best experience I've had so far in developing those sort of skills. National Student Switch Off as well. Going out door to door, talking to students about the sort of changes they feel could be made around their campus accommodation to make it more environmentally friendly. I found that especially helpful as well, because it just helps to get that student feedback. It makes it more of a two-way street rather than just sort of telling students how things can be changed, rather than getting their feedback from them as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. The next question is a general question to everyone. So one of the campaigns that was run by the Support Zone Committee this year was the Shag Week, where they distributed Shag bags in front of the library. And so inside those bags, there were things such as like heart-shaped chocolates, condoms, lube, HIV awareness leaflet, a concept leaflet, and also a map to sexual health clinic. So I wanted to ask you all if you could write on your paper we gave to you, and you have a pen, one item that you could have added to the bag to make it better, to improve the Shag bag. I'll give you a few minutes.
That's a dangerous question.
Yeah.
If you could write it big like that, you all lift your papers after. Do we all have an answer?
Yeah.
If you could all read, you want to read your paper and explain why you chose that item?
I said a pamphlet on sexual identity. When it comes to sexual health, often people just assume we're talking about heterosexual sexual health. And I think here at Surrey, we have quite a vibrant LGBT community. I do feel very proud that we have the statue of Alan Turing as such a standout motif, I guess, of the university. Sorry, I couldn't think of a better word than that. I'm nervous if you can't tell.
Thank you, Izzy.
Yeah, mine would probably be a kind of a motivational note or something, because I feel like there are some days that you just feel so down and everything, but you kind of get this note that probably tells you you're beautiful or something, and you get to have a very good day. So something like that, I don't know.
I put an information card regarding sexual health statistics because there's actually quite a lot of misconceptions as to the actual statistics when it comes to diseases, sexually transmitted diseases. So I think it's more awareness and sort of knowledge about those sort of risks can really help implement safer sex, basically.
Hey, good thing I can't see it.
I did an info card for all of the services where you can go because there are lots of places other than your GP and your doctor that you can go to, and not everyone knows what they are.
I put a dental dam. Yeah. Because, like, does everyone here know what a dental dam is? No. Exactly. That's why I put a dental. I'm gonna start explaining. A dental dam is like, it's the flavored condom version for, like, you know. Oh, okay, you don't know. Sorry. It's a sheet of latex or some other non-latex plastic that's flavored, and you put it over the vagina or anus to engage in anal or oral sex in that area. So now you know.
Thank you, everyone, for the very interesting answers. I'm now going to ask if you have any floor questions. Any students have any question that you want to ask the candidates? It's now your chance. And yes? Do we have a microphone to go out? Yeah, right here. Yeah.
Yeah, hear me? Good. If you need extenuating circumstances for your course, you need to go and get a doctor's note. That is going to be £10 or £20. Do you think that's an acceptable charge for students, and how might you go about improving that if you don't think it is?
Sorry, I didn't hit the question.
Do you want to repeat the question?
So, if you need extenuating circumstances for your course, so you're ill, for instance, the best sort of example, you need a doctor's note, which is going to cost £10 or £20. Is that an acceptable price for students to be paying when they're ill? And how might you go about improving the situation, getting a cheaper one for students, if you don't think that is acceptable?
Thank you for your question. Let's start with Connor.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's unacceptable. Also, with regards to medication as well, you have to pay when picking up medication for students. I believe that although money is obviously a limiting factor for the university, that it could be somewhat subsidised. So perhaps not all the way, but perhaps like a £5 charge, because I do understand, again, that money is a limited resource. But yeah, it's definitely not acceptable to have that sort of charge when someone's sick, especially.
Thank you. Katie?
No, I agree. It is unacceptable because at the end of the day, your doctor is writing on a piece of paper to say that you are ill when you could just go to university and be ill and not take anything in. So I think I would have to start by doing my research. Is this something that the NHS has implemented? Is this local? Is this national? So we can really find out the why and the how that it's been implemented, because you can't really change something unless you track back to the cause.
Thank you, Katie. Jamie?
Gonna have to admit my complete ignorance on this topic, but I do think it is, it's not right, and I would try and find out how to lower the price or just we'll just lower the price because that's not okay. Yeah.
I don't feel it's acceptable, and it's just to lower the price.
Okay. Those prices, I'd have to agree with my fellow candidates. I think £10, £20 is just not good enough, especially for students. As to how we could fix that problem, yet again, same as Jamie, I'm not going to fake knowledge on the subject. I would hope that there would be a way to get accentuating circumstance through the wellbeing centre, possibly. But again, not going to fake knowledge on that.
Thank you, Izzy. Okay, one other question. How would you bring students together to work on welfare campaigns? Let's start with Katie.
I think I'd start with social media, really get the feelers out there, see sort of who's interested, what kind of, maybe there's a majority of students in a certain society or a certain course that might be particularly interested, so we can get loads of people on board. And then I would go and do the legwork. I would go and visit those courses, visit those societies, knock on those doors, and really get people excited about what the campaign was.
Thank you. Jamie?
I think that, societies could be involved in this. Knowledge about mental health awareness is something that it's valuable, and they should be spread around these social hubs on campus, our societies. I do recall hearing about a large society and sports standing that took place quite recently that was focused on helping societies be aware of information about mental health, and I hope that we could help that be done again. Yeah.
Okay.
I agree that a social presence on like Facebook and Twitter and all that is definitely useful in bringing people together and getting people that are interested in these sort of things. But it's making sure that there is that transition from that social platform to and translating it into action, because you can be campaigning for something, but then making sure that that campaign ends up in an action, in things actually happening. That would be the main thing that I would want to focus on in actually getting action. Working with the individuals that we currently have on campus.
Thank you.
Can I get the question again?
The question again was, how would you bring students together to work on welfare campaigns?
Yeah, first I'll go through social media, then societies, and probably get to classes, talk to people, and that's it.
Thank
Mostly
you.
social media.
Izzy?
I think it would be a good idea that from off the bat, students are aware of welfare campaigns that happen at the university. This could be through the Welcome Week lectures. I think it would be useful for more awareness to be made about the different welfare campaigns that happen on campus. Similarly, I think the zone could collaborate with student life mentors a bit more, so they can communicate with their mentees and hopefully make students more aware of the welfare campaigns on campus.
Thank you. So to finish this up, I'm going to ask you in one tweet, so just a short sentence, 1 or 2 words, why should we vote for you to be on the support zone committee? In a short sentence.
Okay.
So if you want to take a few seconds to think about it, or if someone has... Take your time, take your time. Oh my God. That's all right. Do we have any answers ready on this side? Yeah, listening.
Vote Katie for support zone because my support training means I listen actively, signpost effectively, and strive to create a safe space.
Jamie?
Can you give me a sec? Just 1 sec.
Connor?
Change through communication. Vote Connor Jenkins. #SurreyDecides.
Do we have any tweets ready here? Izzy?
I understand what it's like to need support. I'm dedicated, enthusiastic, and want to make a difference. #IsItMe you're voting for.
No? Do you need it? Take your time. Do you have one ready? No. I'm sure it's better.
Yeah, I've experienced what it's like to need help, and I'm very passionate about helping people, so good for me.
Thank you. Jamie?
Let's help our society work through the societies. Smiley emoji.
That's it for this debate. Thank you all for listening, and please be sure to vote. Well, there we have the first debate of the night, the candidates for the support zone. There are 5 positions available in this zone, so you may be thinking all 5 will be elected. However, when you come to vote, you will find another option, which is Ron, none of the above, and that is reopen nominations. If Ron wins, anybody underneath Ron will be eliminated from the election, and we have a by-election. So although there are 5 positions and 5 actual human candidates, if you don't like one, some or all of them, you have the option to vote Ron. So in between the debates, we're down here in the front room, and feel free to come down and join us. And I have a number of guests with me here tonight, and we're going to talk about what we've just heard. First of all, on my left, we have James Newby from the University of Surrey, Sophie Bradbury, who we all know from the Community Zone, and Andre from the Surrey Advertiser, the local journal of truth, and the website Get Surrey. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very tricky thing to go first, obviously, especially if you've never done it before. It's a big room, and it's completely... Coyen, come in, take a seat. And here comes VP Support Coyen. Hot-footed it down from Rubix. What's the atmosphere like up there? Oh, you're waiting for a microphone, sorry. When you have a microphone, we'll ask you. Yes, very difficult to start off. It's all lit in red. It's a very hostile environment, but I have to say the audience, both online, on Twitter and upstairs, were being very encouraging. Would you say?
Yeah, I would. I thought they did very well. The first one is always a bit nervous. The candidates are always nervous for the first one. So I think we had 2 very confident performances in Connor and Katie.
Yep.
I felt they were a little bit soundbite heavy and substance light, but they were definitely very confident. And we had 2 very nervous performances from Izzy and Goodness.
Yes.
And I think we were all kind of rooting for Izzy a bit after the first 5 or 10 minutes, and she came good.
Yeah, she
I
did.
think she demonstrated a very likeable personality, so she came good in the end. And then we had Jamie, and I can confirm that Dental Dam is trending on Twitter. I'm just waiting for Donald Trump to comment. He's not been pushed out yet. But
It's not really, is it?
No. I think it might be soon.
Get me there for a minute. Sophie, you've done this. What's it like when you sat up there?
It's very nerve-wracking. I can completely see why Izzy got nervous. You find yourself stumbling over your words a lot. But I was walking up there with Alex just before it all began, and we were saying how we were nervous for them just walking into the room. It's the red lights, it gets hot in there. And you definitely have a glass of water, it helps. But yeah, they did really well. I was, as you said, it was a couple of nervous performances, but really happy Izzy picked it up in the end. But it was really fun today.
Andre, we'll expect the pace to pick up the next debate because it's a full-time position. We're looking for a vice president. But is there any themes that came out of that, which is very much student life, that you might see mimicked in wider society?
Well, I mean, obviously one of the big issues in society at large, not just is mental health. And it's an issue the government's struggling with, and it's an issue, local authorities struggling with. And within the university, there's it's good to hear people talking about it. It's good to hear people standing and saying, we want to find not necessarily solutions, but ways to support people on campus.
The very first question was asking, should the university be the sole point of help, or should people learn to help themselves more? Which I think the answers were pretty uniformly, the university must help. People talk about Generation Snowflake. Do you think this is a thing?
I don't know. What I do think is that the attitude of people should help themselves more is one that predates the current understanding of mental health. And we're still working on it. We're still getting better at it. And certainly pointing at people and saying, you should be doing more isn't the answer in any way.
Yeah. Sophie, we had a short discussion there about doctor's notes. So a lot of people perhaps don't realise this, that if you're ill and you need proof for extenuating circumstances, you have to go to the local NHS surgery, and it's £20 for a doctor's note. That used to be subsidised. There was a transition period when the health centre was university run, then it went to the NHS. So it was subsidised down to £10, now it's the full 20. Right. Is this something that many students are affected by?
I can imagine it is, because I've got quite a few friends who've needed extenuating circumstances, and I don't think it's right that if there is a problem, it could even be a financial one that's stressing you out that might be the cause of the problem. So to have to pay when it's so tight as it is for an extenuating circumstances form, it doesn't seem to add up to me. I think we should maybe consider going back to a subsidised format.
Okay. Colin, this is something you have to deal with every day. Welcome,
Yes.
incidentally.
Thank you. Last year it used to be subsidised by the Centre for Wellbeing, but now it's not because of the high demands of the Centre for Wellbeing, and they thought that money could be put to better use. I would argue that. So it's something that I have been working on this year. Quite a tough question for the support zone, I'm not going to lie, but they answered it all pretty well, so that's definitely good on them for that. But yeah, I definitely would say that it's a tricky one. It's something I've been working on this year, so there's some things I can't say, but it's definitely a tricky issue, and it's definitely something that will serve students a lot better if we can get that money subsidised. So yeah.
I'm going to put you in the spot here, James. At one time, the university health centre was because university owned and run and operated and was nothing to do with the NHS, and now it's an NHS surgery. Is that the right thing, do you think? You may not be able to comment on that, of course.
Well, who knows? It's not the right thing for students to have to pay to demonstrate they're ill when they're ill. I think that's probably fair to say. The question is who should pay, and I simply don't know the answer to that. The university could reimburse, but it would inevitably mean diverting resources from something else that might be important. That's the sort of debate we would have to have with the sabbatical officers who win through this process. So I wouldn't want to answer that now, and you have definitely put me on the spot to ask me it now. I thought we were going to have safe spaces.
Not for you, you're the young suit. It does seem a little bit unfair. You go to see the doctor decides you're ill, and just for them to write that down, That's £20.
Yeah, it does seem harsh. I sort of draw the parallel with when you have to demonstrate you're sick to take time off work to claim sick pay. You know, that you don't have to pay for that one. So I don't see that there's a significant difference in this. But this isn't my particular area of the university, so I'm not sure what the rationale is behind it. We'd have to look at it.
Coy and Sophie, you get to vote in this. We don't. Will Ron be featuring in your ballot paper?
No, not in mine.
Oh.
Potentially, maybe.
Potentially,
maybe, considering.
Andre, sorry, I cut you off. You were going to mention about the NHS problem and the sick notes.
Well, I was going to ask a couple of things, because I don't know the situation, obviously not being at the university. But is it something that the Wellbeing Centre, not financially, but would be able to write, if the university accepts it, notes themselves under certain situations? Does it all have to go through the GP?
That would require a common sense joined up policy, Andre, and we are working on that, and we will deliver one in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, and the other question, obviously, is the charges are coming from the local doctors. So, is it something the CCG could be approached about, and see if they could find a way to discount for students?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah. I think the issue is that Wellbeing provide wellbeing services, and they don't provide the medical services. They're not, under university regulations, they're not technically qualified to say you're not well enough to sit this exam.
Which is under the regulations, which begs the question.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay. Your shag bags came up.
Yes. That's... Oh.
Sorry, that's somebody calling me. Go away, I'm on YouTube.
That stands for Sexual Health Awareness and Guidance, just to make that clear. So SHAG is an acronym, that's the word. SHAG is an acronym for Sexual Health Awareness and Guidance. So there's Sexual Health Awareness and Guidance bags, just to clear that up for anyone at home who is unsure.
Now that's what it sort of came to light. Everybody was talking about dental dams, and there was a lot of sniggering, laughing, and something like that. You know, we said there a minute ago, people were a lot more open talking about mental health, but still not open about talking about sexual health and sexual activity, which, you know, let's face it, the Students' Union is a large epicentre of that on campus. Is this the next big cultural norm yet to come? You know, everybody's got to grips with their mental well-being, and maybe everybody needs to be a little bit less British about sexual activity.
I don't think because people had a laugh during the debate, it means they weren't prepared to talk about it.
Oh,
all the candidates talked about the shag bag and the serious purpose behind it. Nothing wrong with having a laugh while being serious. That's what satire is. That's what lots of fields do. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think it means they're not serious. I see the serious point behind it, and I congratulate you for doing it. I think it's a really good idea.
And it makes the subject accessible. I'm sure the name Shag wasn't coincidental.
Yes,
but,
it wasn't.
It doesn't make light of the situation either.
Yeah.
Next up, we have candidates for VP support. It's a full-time position. Vice President, it's a paid role. You're a trustee, so all the usual questions will come out. What do the candidates need to do to stand out? Coin? What do they need to do to set themselves? We can be a little bit forgiving for those standing for their own positions. They're volunteers, but when you're going for a VP, you've got to be a cut above.
Yeah, I think, as cheesy as it sounds, you've definitely got to be yourself. And I think be yourself in all terms of the word. So a lot of people will be out there and they'll be quite calculated about what they're going to say, quite careful. But students want to see you. They want to see how university staff are going to see you when they're talking to you. And so you really do have to be yourself. You have to show students that, you know, you're going to stand for what they believe in, and you're going to. I don't want to say fight for them, because that always sounds like Sab's always out there fighting against the university, which is not true. James knows this.
A bit. But.
A bit, yeah. But we will stand up for, you know, what we think students believe in, and when something might be going wrong, we will say that. And I think students want to see that you can do that when you're on stage, that you can kind of laugh at the shag bag and stuff like that, but as well as that you can. That when you're going to go out there, you're going to go out there with full force and be passionate and believing in what you're saying. So yeah.
I do apologise. I had my phone on silent, and now the whole world is trying to get to me. I might just turn it off. Sophie, you decided not to stand for a full-time position this year?
Not this year, no.
I have a placement sorted, so
yes, of
that
course.
will be why.
All
But
right.
the year after, I am perfectly open to suggestions.
Okay. What will you be looking for from the VP candidates?
Somebody who's dedicated, somebody who's as good as Koyen, because
thank
Koyen
you.
just makes it everybody's so aware of what's going on. Like whenever
thank you.
I've been around, I see her stuff everywhere, campaigns. I want someone who's as active and proactive at getting the messages out there and being as comforting. You're very empathetic, which is what I'm really going to be looking for in a VP support. You want someone who can empathise with students. I think that's what I'm out there for.
Audrey, you've seen this a few years running now. How do you think this compares to local politics in Guildford? I mean, the calibre of some of the candidates.
Well, it's a lot more grown up. It is. It's good. It's good to see so many people so engaged. Local politics is different at different times and in different places. Guildford's its own particular thing, as many people will know. But one thing that's good is to see so many young people engaging, and that's one thing Guildford does lack. There's an older generation of councillors that have given years of good service, but we need other people getting involved on that level as well.
We were looking at, I think Alex Mackenzie Smith won about 3,000 odd. She got about 3,500 votes last year. The local Surrey County Councillor for this area, and that's a big job of responsibility, big budget, won on 1,100 votes. So, the President of the Union gets 3 times as many votes as the Surrey County Councillor. Maybe that's something we should...
And if Alex stands in May, then I wouldn't say the paper would back her, but, I might back her.
Well, Alex, if you're listening, we're still persuading you. You've got something to do next year.
Yeah.
James, in these candidates, what will make you sit up and listening, and what will make you fall asleep?
If they talk about liaising more and communicating more, I'll fall asleep. If they talk about substantial initiatives, things they want to do that they're going to challenge us at the university to deliver, then I'll definitely listen. Those are the candidates we do our best work with, the ones with genuine ideas.
Thank you very much. So now we go back upstairs to Rubix for the first of our full-time positions, VP Sport. I would like just to say thank you to everybody who've been making comments online with the hashtag SurreyDecides. You've all been very constructive and very supportive, so keep it up. Now, back to Rubix.
The Students' Union has put together a 6-point manifesto on student housing, and we want you to make your voice heard. Go to ussu.co.uk and add your voice, and we will make sure that those who can make a difference will hear you.
That video, I'm really excited to announce that today we are launching our Living at the Limit campaign. So you may ask what that is. Last year we sent out a survey to all students about your experience living in Guildford, particularly the private sector. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses, and pretty much as you'd seen from the video, 90% of the comments were shocking and appalling, and myself and the current SAB team didn't really want to sit on it, so hence the campaign being launched. So there's a 6-point manifesto that we want you all to pledge behind. Please go to ussu.co.uk, and there's 3 more videos to come this evening, so stay tuned. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, chairing the debate for VP support, please welcome Hannah Mickleborough.
Hey.
Okay, now for the candidates for VP support. This is nice. Is everyone okay? Yeah? All prepared, or at least getting stuff out? Yeah. Okay. Okay. The candidates here, they also had a pre-prepared question, and I'm going to read that out now. Shall we go again, similarly like last time, from my left, work down, so Eggy, Sam, Danny, and Jess, okay? With university wellbeing services overstretched and more students than ever needing professional help, which wellbeing issue should the university be prioritising next year in terms of funding and resources? Eggy?
Good evening, everyone. My answer for this is, the VP support role encompasses the importance of mental and sexual health awareness. However, here at Surrey, coming from my background as an international student and having once been a fresher and overcoming the struggles of transitioning to university life, I believe that we should raise the importance of international cultural awareness as well. And as mentioned in my manifesto of creating a platform to seek and receive encouraging advice about uni challenges through Surrey 365. And this system allows to allow students to be somewhat anonymous, and this may urge students to further approach us when they need any support, and this can relieve the pressure of the Centre of Wellbeing while still catering and offering a sense of reassurance to the students.
Well, it's a tough question because the last thing I want to do is prioritise one area and let everything else slip, but because I know Hannah will press me for an answer unless I give a straight one. With the Centre for Wellbeing providing such a fantastic service, but its slots being cut down, opening times not changing, more and more students joining, I feel that's a service that could really do with being boosting. But ultimately, you can't afford to prioritise one particular service. Support all round has to be at its best, otherwise you're not providing support.
Danny?
I think that prioritising reducing student stress and supporting students to tackle their stress triggers should be the focus of university wellbeing funding and resources, because stress affects all students, regardless of their degree, their nationality, their sexuality, their gender, or their economic background. Stress has a lot of triggers, many manifestations, and both long and short-term consequences for an individual. Removing all causes of stress across our student population would be insurmountable and completely unachievable. However, supporting students to find healthy coping mechanisms to fit around their studies is attainable. You might question why I feel that stress should be prioritised and why, in fact, it is one of my 3 key manifesto pledges. Quite simply, uncontrolled stress can affect how you feel, think, behave, and even how your body works. Common signs include sleeping problems, difficulty concentrating, and loss of appetite. You can feel anxious, irritable, and low in self-esteem. Stress even negatively impacts your immune system. All these effects can detrimentally affect our degrees. It's tough to take in a lecture when you're not sleeping well or you've got a rotten cold. Chronic stress can lead on to long-term mental health problems such as depression or anxiety, which are often best tackled with professional help. However, our services and those of the NHS are already overstretched. Support services can empower students to tackle certain areas of stress such as financial troubles, difficulties with housing, and academic challenges, which allow students to apply themselves better to their degrees, which is ultimately the reason we're here. By providing stress-busting opportunities throughout the year, we can improve student life at Surrey. Dedicated funding and resources would allow these activities to occur regularly and at minimal financial cost to students, as our budgets are stretched thin enough as it is.
Hey guys, I'm Jess, and I think this is a bit of a trick question. we're all different and we all need different levels of support. And I think prioritising one issue over another wouldn't really be fair. As Sam mentioned, our role as VP support wouldn't be to prioritise someone over another. I think actually we should focus on the fact that funding and resources, it's always going to be a problem, especially with the Centre for Wellbeing having like a 34% increase over the past semester. I think collaborative working with internal and external services, for example, we could work with the sports park, we could work from the Students' Union, we could run more campaigns, more workshops. It's more like working in partnership with wellbeing services than actually prioritising one thing over another.
Okay, that's great, guys. That's very nicely prepared answers there, and I think we'll go back the other way, starting with Jess now. I'm going to give you one question each about your manifestos. Okay, Jess, I'm going to go to your point on food and health, there at the end, number 4. You mentioned that you're going to give introductory packs to freshers so that they can presumably cook their own healthy meals. I gotta say, when I came to uni at least, I was given several of these recipe books for you to make healthy meals on a student budget, and I used it twice. What makes you think that students are going to use the books you provide?
Okay, so as we all know, as a fresher, we're given so many things. Like, we are piled with leaflets. So this kind of introductory pack, or even just a poster in your accommodation, it's already there. It's not something you have to kind of fizzle through your bags and bags of stuff. It's something that's on the wall in your kitchen, giving you kind of 1, 2, 3 meals that are healthy, simple. Like, I know people that can't even cook a pizza, even instructions to cook a pizza. It's already there. It's not something that's given to you at Freshers' Fair. It's there for you in your accommodation ready.
Danny, hi. I'm going to go to your last point as well. Don't know why. Just how it is. You mentioned building on the puppy petting sessions. Yes, go on. It's great, yeah. Yeah, they're fun. I just have the one question that, what are they, like twice a semester or something, and at the vet school quite frequently. How would you get the puppies in more often, almost all the time, you say? Like, don't you think there's sort of a limit to how often we should be giving puppies pets? Or and don't you want other unis to have access to that service as well?
Well, of course I want other people to have access to it. This is why I want to bring it more here, because people love the puppy petting sessions. They're adorable, and they make you feel so much better. But I would achieve more of these sessions by working with charities such as Guide Dogs and perhaps local veterinary services, all sorts of places who obviously have puppies, to get them to bring them along. The guide dogs in particular, they have to kind of get used to being in crowds of people and being touched without sort of freaking out. So that would be a great opportunity for the dogs themselves to be exposed to those sorts of environments. And I wouldn't want them in every single day. I realise that's completely unachievable, although it would be amazing. It would just be more regularly than just at exam times, because exam times are not the only source of stress for students. We all have coursework deadlines regularly and problems within our own personal lives that we'd also like to have something to get away from or to help alleviate how stressed we're feeling. So even if it was sort of every month or every couple of months, I feel that would be an improvement.
That was great. Now, Sam, I think I'll go to your first point, or at least the last point of your first point. This was quite hard to... You would like to cover combating taboo about all types of sex through education. what would this education about taboo sex entail? It kind of sounds like you're going to be giving some sort of fetish night demonstration. Is that really suitable?
Well, I mean, some people might like it, but suitable. Anyway, so sex is not something that there's that much taboo about anymore. At least straight sex, but gay sex, kinky sex, no one talks about that. Ever. Why shouldn't they? 38% of the population say that they're into BDSM.
They did in the round before. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, if 38% of the population are prepared to say they're into BDSM, why is no one talking about it, There needs to be education about this kind of stuff, whether that's through campaigns, whether that's through talks. I believe we should have, everyone has talks done instead of lectures alongside their courses via various similar things, but there's never anything put on by the university, such as lectures that are advertised to students about this kind of stuff. Why not? At school, at college, we have PSHE, we have things like that. Why is there no service for that? Why is ALS not doing that? Why is the Wellbeing Centre not doing that? And this is exactly the kind of stuff that they should be covering. Because people are going to do it, so they need to do it safely.
Okay, my question to Eggy is a little bit different. It's more about your manifesto in general. You are aware that you're running for VP support, right? It's just because with your manifesto, it's kind of easy to mistake it for a community manifesto. Many of your points are tailored for the community zone, and so I would like to know that if you got elected, how you make sure that you engage in support.
I feel that VP support goes hand in hand with community here at Surrey. That's why my manifesto point for community is to introduce this space online where freshers can reach out to second and final years. And I think that it's really important that we support each other here at Surrey because we're all on the same track and we're here for education and to meet other people from different walks of life, and we all have different unique skills to offer from different backgrounds and cultures. So I feel that there is a sense of importance that community comes hand in hand with support.
With that, are there any questions from the floor for any of the candidates? Yes, over there. If there's a mic around.
Hi there. Hi. What do you think is the best thing that COIN has done this year as VP support?
I think we'll go to Sam first, since I'm pretty sure he uses those words on his manifesto.
Yeah. One of the things that I think COIN's done fantastically is her campaigning, her awareness. She's, things like Shag Week, that was genius. Like, everyone was talking about it because of, quite simply, the name. So what's COIN done? Most notably, I think the campaigning, the creativity, imaginativity involved in that's fantastic.
Would you like to go next, Danny?
Give it a go. COIN has done so much, both that we know about and that perhaps we don't. Her work behind the scenes, building up ideas for us to long-term ideas, with the university, are phenomenal. And I believe that she should really, those were something I want to build on anyway.
Okay. Jess?
I think COIN's kind of focus on personal support has been amazing, including kind of mental health workshops for committees. I think that's just starting up, as well as kind of these little videos that there's been a few of them online, and especially the exam stress one. I don't know about you, but I really, really needed that. I needed a little bit of a you got this, and I personally resonated with it a lot. So, yeah, personal support.
Personally, I think that COIN's really approachable and friendly personality allowed her to reach out to many students from everywhere. For Valentine's Day recently, I saw on my friend's social medias that she was going around with roses, and just these small tokens really meant a lot to people.
I think I want to ask a follow-up to that question. Like, you've all mentioned a lot of the things that Cohen has done for the support this year. You've been pretty engaged. Have you maybe gone to speak to Cohen and ask her any questions about the role? Do you want to go back this way?
Yeah, I have asked her about the workload because that is definitely something to consider when taking up this position. And she said as long as you're 100% dedicated to the welfare, that you'll go far.
Sam?
As Cohen and probably all the SABs can confirm, I go in there quite a lot. I've talked to Cohen quite a few times about what she does, even things like budgets and how she's worked with the zone and all of that. She said pretty much the same thing Eggy has, so yeah.
Okay. Danny?
I mean, yeah, of course I went to speak to Cohen. Why would you not use such a fantastic person in her support role when coming to a VP support position? We had a great conversation about where she thinks that this position should go next, the things that she would have maybe liked to focus on should she have continued for another year, but also on the successes she had. For example, with her campaigning, she said she's absolutely loved every minute, and I thought that was really nice to hear that, you know, there's something to really look forward to in this job.
Yeah, following on from those, when I went to speak to Koya, she said that the workload was kind of even more than she expected, and she did have quite a few personal like people coming to her specifically, and that she didn't quite expect. But it was kind of amazing to hear how she dealt with all of those individually, and she took it upon herself as VP support to help everyone, like I said earlier, with the personal support. In terms of kind of, sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, have you been to speak to Cohen and asked her about just generally, yeah?
Yes, I have.
Fair enough, okay. I think I'm going to ask a question to everyone now. Could you write down for me, we have some paper, I believe there's some in front of you as well, what ALS stands for?
Want it big?
Yeah, pretty big.
Sorry for my handwriting, by the way.
It's probably right, bigger. Are we all done?
There you go. You can actually read my handwriting.
Hold them up. I mean, okay. Woo! 3 out of 4, right? I'm kind of surprised you didn't know that, Eggy. ALS, is this something maybe you would find out more about if you got elected?
Yes, definitely. I would look more into the role and definitely the services that they do offer, because there are many here at Surrey.
Okay. And I'm guessing you all know a little bit about what ALS does. Maybe how would you work with them?
Oh, that's a big question. How would I work with them? Where even to start? So ALS, as many people might know, have been quite busy in the last year. Not necessarily caught up with everyone. I'd have to sit down with them and say, look, what can the union do for them? Obviously, we can't provide much in the way of resources or money, but we can certainly provide help in terms of awareness. So what I would try and do to help ALS is provide awareness of their services, use the union's media, use our foothold during things like Freshers Week and Moving In Weekend to try and plug them more so people are more aware of the services they provide.
Great. You guys, Jess, Danny, Jess?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know that much about the additional learning support services, but I do know that they should be made more aware, and I do know that actually I think some people don't even know that they need them, and that's a really important point to kind of, I think we should push that So yeah, I would speak to the people in charge and see what I could do.
Additional learning support is, they do cover a fair amount of, well, support. I think after talking to them more, I'd want to know where in their services they feel that students aren't necessarily taking up as much, promote those specifically, but also make sure that all students know, you know, as much as there is to know about them, because they don't just provide sort of support for dyslexics or for those who might be disabled. They also give support to those of you who might well have broken your arm on a night out, or, you know, other short-term incapacities.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just the other week that I found out, doing my research for this, you can get like an extra hour or something in an exam for things as simple as having had a stressful week if you go through the services properly. And I just got an update. SurreyDecides is now trending in London. Okay, yeah.
Isn't that the wrong city?
Like London and wider area, whatever. It counts as London. Google Maps thinks I'm in like Tottenham. You're pretty happy now. Okay, do you have any questions out there? Alex?
Hello, everyone. So you've got your manifestos in front of you. Everyone hopefully has been looking at their manifestos and been reading them. However, that's only about a quarter of your job. You'll have a lot of other different responsibilities when you become a sabbatical officer. If one of you becomes a sabbatical officer, Ron is also a candidate. So, I meant that with love. Come on. So, can you name to the audience, one by one committee that you're going to be sitting on, one university committee you'll be sitting on, representing students, and the difference that you will make on that committee on behalf of Surrey students?
Do we want to go from Jeff this time?
Equality and diversity team.
The executive committee.
Yeah?
Oh, they just stole both of mine. I'm pretty sure there's a housing committee they sit on.
And Eggy?
Equality, yes.
And what change will you make?
For those of you who didn't hear Alex's very loud voice, what change would you make? Do you want to work way back?
So I wanted to work with equality and diversity because I wanted to bring my international perspective to work through the union.
Sam?
One of the things that didn't make its way onto my manifesto was working more to do with private sector housing for second, third and so on students. Things like working with USL and that, so trying to use those, sit on that committee, try and get the union more involved with marketing what they do, because I know they had a few hundred students turn up, but they can do a lot better than that, and hopefully get their services out there more.
Danny?
I don't believe that every single committee that I'm going to sit on would necessarily need to be changed as to what I can bring to that committee and my own personal qualities of communication, confidence and negotiation.
With equality and diversity, I want to celebrate everyone's differences, whether that be through religion, through culture, through sexuality, and I want to keep pushing that through campaigning.
Keep pushing, work harder, do more. I think you all got it down, okay. And you all seem to have similar ideas. So I guess I want to ask that, if you couldn't vote for yourself, who would you vote for? Do you want to write this one down? Yeah, write this one down. I mean, just because you can vote for yourself doesn't mean you have to. I always like Ron. Wow. Isn't that me? I thought that was me at the moment. Yeah.
Would you like a reason why, or just?
I might ask that later. In a minute. Are you looking through the manifestos, Jess? Are you letting me? I got to pick one. Shall we this way?
Alright, Jess.
Aww. That was a bit of a clap. Yeah. Sam?
Danny.
Danny? Oh God, this is hard.
Jess.
Jess is in the lead, I guess.
Alright, Sam.
So that was Jess from Eggie, Danny from Sam, Jess from Danny, and Sam from Jess. I know, right? Oof. Now I think I kind of want you to name the best quality of the candidates you've gathered. Hopefully you've read each other's manifestos. If you can, like, maybe on the flip side, not necessarily the person you wrote, maybe, okay. Maybe like the candidate to your right. And you do Eggie. It's a circle. You do Eggie. That's Ron. No, if you do Eggie. Do Eggie. We almost done. You're still writing. Do you want to go, Sam?
Yeah. So for Danny, I've said she understands what people need from support. She understands the kind of problems people have, and she cares.
Oh. Both of you. Oh God, I'm gonna have to reach you guys. Eggie?
For Sam, I wrote his willingness to run and just cares enough to actually run for a VP support position.
Oh. Do you want a high five too? Or... No? Okay. Oh. Danny, what did you write?
For Jess, it would be her approachable nature. She's really easy to talk to.
Approachable nature.
High five?
Yeah. Oh. Maybe this wasn't the best idea. You are laughing.
For Eggie, I wrote her kindness. I only met her today, and she was incredibly approachable and nice, and we were both kind of cheering each other on before we went on stage, so really lovely girl.
That is lovely. They were all having a really nice chat. I got a question from Twitter. I don't know what it is. I'm about to read it. I hope it's not too mean. Please don't be mean on Twitter, guys. Oh, yeah. What's the best way for students to support each other at uni? Oh, okay. Sam wants to answer.
I don't. Am I answering?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so what's the best way is a very hard question because it's different for every student, you know. Every student is good at different things, every student has different needs, so it's impossible to say this is the best way. There are good ways that the union can utilise students to help other students. For example, there's things like the student life mentors for all the first years. I think we should be using those guys more. They should feel like people that you can go to if you've got a problem. You know, they come and knock on your doors. You should be able to say, I've got this problem, and they should be able to tell you exactly where you need to go. And I'm sure lots of them do. But I feel like as a union, we should sit them down, have a meeting with those guys, and talk to them about what we offer and what the various support services around the campus offer. But there's so many ways, it's impossible to say this is the best.
Come on, guys. Don't read the... Pay attention, honestly. Danny?
I think the best way for students to help other students would be if you know your friend is having a tough time, rather than bowing to the kind of social pressure and thinking about the stigma that goes against mental health, just approach them and just say, hey, it's going to be okay. Maybe send them like a goofy card with a stupid picture on it, you know, they're like an adorable puppy, maybe, since everyone seems to really like the puppy thing. And just, you know, let them know that you're there for them and encourage them to come to the support services which the university has.
I think the best way for friends to be there is to kind of notice if something is wrong and to direct you in the right place. So from my personal experience, I got directed to the Centre for Wellbeing from a friend, and that's why I'm up here today. So just being there and knowing what is out there to help them.
My answer is, I think that we should start caring more and just look up from our screens on our phones and just noticing the little actions in people's lives. Because someone may be going through a really tough day, and just saying hi to them or smiling at them makes a huge difference. And I feel that we can support each other by just breaking boundaries in our friendship circles and not sticking to just our cliques, but knowing that we're all here and we're in the same position and we just should support each other.
Apparently, we've got like one question left. I really wish I could be up here longer interrogating you all. It's pretty fun from my position, sorry about that. I kind of just want to ask one thing. Tell us, everyone who's hopefully looking at you and not that screen, why you, why now? Would anyone like to volunteer to go first?
Sam!
All right then. Why me, why now? That's actually quite an interesting question. So I've got dyslexia and dyspraxia. When I first joined the university, I heard about ALS, contacted them, set up a meeting, which they cancelled. Told me they'd reschedule. They didn't. I sent them an email saying, you know, can I reschedule? To the same email, a reply in the same thread. It's not like I got the email address wrong. Never got a response. I followed them up a couple of times, just didn't get a response. So fast forward a year and a half to the last round of exams we went through. After the first week of exams, I got an email from ALS saying, oh, hello, you're eligible for extra time and support and all of this kind of stuff. That was a year and a half in. What? So I started doing some digging, doing some research, looking into other people's experiences, and found that was not a one-off, and that's not acceptable. That's ultimately what prompted it. I'm doing this because I think there's a lot of shortfalls in the university.
Guys.
I think support can be a lot better, and I really want to try and push that right now. That's why I'm running.
Danny?
I'm going to start with the why now. Well, I'm a fourth year dietetics student, so I'm in the final year of my degree, and so I've had a long time here at Surrey to experience the various support services, which leads me into kind of why me, is I have the experience of those services. I have the experience of having been a student here for 4 years now. And I genuinely believe that I will be the best for this job.
Eggy?
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm from
Go on, Eggy.
Well, I'm from Singapore. I've spent half my life growing up in Switzerland. I've learned how to deal with new cultures, new people from different walks of life. I also had to learn different languages and adapt to different environments. I now speak English, Mandarin, French, and German, and this has allowed me. To really be more open to learning about people's different cultures from wherever they come from, and also made me more approachable and growing confidence when approaching people from different countries, and just learn more about their cultures and share mine as well. And I've just really wanted to create a really improved university experience for everyone here, and definitely to reinforce the services here at Surrey, bringing my international perspective.
Ron? Go on, Jess.
Okay, so why me? I'm passionate, I'm dedicated, I'm so excited, and I genuinely care. And why now? If not now, never. I've got this opportunity and I want to utilise it.
Wow, oh my God, thank you, all of you. You have all been super passionate. I can tell you really want to do this job for the right reasons. That's pretty amazing. Thank you for putting yourselves out here, standing up and doing it. And everyone, remember to vote. You will get a nice little link in your emails right after the end of SurreyDecides on Tuesday. That's all from us. Wait for the next ones.
That introduction seems a little bit like we were about to give the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Well, welcome back to the front room. We've just had our first debate for the first sabbatical role, VP support. We had Jess, Danny, Sam, and Eggy. The challenge is always with a role like support, where it is all about helping others. It's always going to be one where I think it's fair to say you may be reticent to stick the knife into your opponents. But a lot of love for you, Coin. They were asking, some people on Twitter asking why you're not standing for another year. Why aren't you standing for another year, Coin? Nothing against our valiant candidates up there tonight.
Yes. Well, as some people might know, not everyone will know, I actually ran in my second year, so I've still got third year to complete. So right now, that's my main focus. Also, I feel like everything that I set out to achieve this year, I've either achieved it or I'm on the way to achieving it. And I do want to give someone else the opportunity to kind of come with a new flavour, new creativity. Everyone was saying I set the bar high. I don't know if I can agree with that, but I think I definitely tried to set a precedence for the way I think the VP support should conduct themselves and should work and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's why I'm not rerunning. I've got third year to complete.
So like Sophie, we may see you back here again.
Maybe, I'm not saying anything.
James, we talked about lots there, and of course university services came back in. Some talk about ALS, pressure on university support, the same kind of things that we saw before. Anything surprised you there?
I was surprised at the focus on things like puppy petting, which seemed to dominate the first half of the debate. And I did ask for lots of substance, and we got things like how to make a pizza. Yeah. This is a difficult post to run for. It's a difficult post to be substantial about because it's really a competition to demonstrate who cares the most.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that the candidates actually found quite difficult to get over well today. The debate about resourcing we get that every year because, similar to the debate about resourcing in the NHS, isn't it? Do you focus on heart disease or cancer most?
Yeah.
Of course, how can you answer that question? Should we focus on Centre for Wellbeing or ALS most? And how can we answer that question? We just have to blend them all effectively and be as responsive as we can. The best answer, I thought, from the whole debate was one from Jess early on when she gave, I thought, a really balanced answer about how the Students' Union, the university and students themselves have to work together to deliver these services well and design them properly so they're delivered to their best effect. I thought that demonstrated a really good understanding of the only way this can ever really work.
Yep.
So I thought it was a very strong answer. Not an endorsement from me, of course, but a very strong answer.
We can't vote. Our opinion counts for nothing.
Absolutely.
Other than your entertainment value. Andre, more opinion that counts for nothing. How do you think they went? Obviously a bit of a nervous start, but 4 very brave candidates.
Yeah, and 4 very good speakers for this role, I thought, certainly at times. It was interesting, you said that the response about how working together between the university and the union, that's the kind of answer you'd expect anybody to make, isn't it? I was kind of hoping for a bit more detail, as James was. I think, for me, the best answer was in the Why You, Why Now from, is it Sam? Who gave a solid example of when he's used the services and his first-hand experience, which there wasn't too much of. So maybe it would have been nice to hear more of their contact with the services we're talking about.
One thing that was a little bit surprising, it is if you look at other student unions and student politics as a whole, where you may find the NUS talking about the NHS, and that's a big topic of conversation. It is, of course, a big topic of conversation in many elections. It wasn't, unless I missed it, even mentioned tonight. And that's something it's always been a trait here at Surrey, is that the sort of national political issues don't tend to come in, and this would be the one where I would expect to see that. Is that something that surprised you?
I suppose it was to a certain extent, but there's a certain level at which you can't fix the national issues in a similar way to you can argue about the university providing resources, but in the end that's going to be a debate beyond what the support people can do. It would be nice on the other hand to get Jeremy Hunt in just up the road. Has he been asked?
I don't believe we've ever asked Jeremy to come. Anne has been here before, but I know he's spoken at the university, but he's never been invited to come to these.
Of course, Anne Milton's a former nurse, as well as being now Deputy Chief Whip, so she'd be an interesting person to get along to one of these.
Yeah. Alex, you're standing. Oh, we're waiting for our Maccordia Once again, sex came up. Big topic of conversation. More sexual health. Is it a problem on campus, do you think? I'm looking at the students here. I'm not saying sex is a problem, STI, sexual health, that kind of thing.
Well, if I have to roll out some statistics, if you think that in universities typically 1 in 4 students can have chlamydia, they have no statistics for the University of Surrey because just not enough students get tested for chlamydia, gonorrhea, all those kind of things. So if you think about it in that way, yes, it is a problem. Not only that, but I don't know how much I can say, but more students need to get tested. For more students to get tested, more students need to have the information. They need to know how to get tested, where they can get tested, things like that. So as much as it may not seem that it's a problem at all, if students aren't getting tested, they're not helping themselves, and that is one thing that we need to watch out for. So it's not a problem, but we need to make sure everyone's okay.
Okay. Sophie, do you feel it's something that within the student community they're quite relaxed talking about?
About sex?
Yeah, well, more about sexual health and prevention of STIs and that kind of thing.
I've never had that conversation with any of my friends, mainly because I haven't needed to. I feel very aware of what's about. I think my friends are generally very aware. You're made aware from quite a young age from PSHE lessons at GCSE, and there's so many classes that you'll get, and you get leaflets, you hand out things at campaigns, you get some things when you come to the uni. I'd like to think my friends and myself are fairly clued up. We've never really had a sit-down conversation where we go, let's talk sexual health, but I think
it's not something you're going to have in pre-drinks, is it?
I'd feel comfortable talking about it if somebody needed to ask me something, but it's just not something.
I think also one thing to add, sorry, is that I feel like the student population is much more comfortable talking about heterosexual sex, but not about any other form. So, and even when I've had conversations with sexual health clinics around Guildford to help students, they all have loads of information for heterosexual sex, but pretty much nothing or almost nil on any other kind, so any other form. So if you think about it in that way, that's also a problem. Obviously, that's not in the university, but that means that university students can't access that help.
That's the support debates done now. Who do you think will be the next VP support?
Me?
But are you?
You're asking me. I'll be disqualified. I think Jess has a good shout. I thought Sam was strong as well today. I liked his answer about instead of complaining about the poor service he got from one of the university services, he ran to do something about it.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yes. Coyen?
Yeah, for me, it's probably going to have to be... I want to remain impartial, but you've asked the question, so I don't want to cop out.
You have a vote. You don't have to say if you don't want to, because you are a voter. So what Andre, James and I think doesn't matter, because we can't vote. So if you want to keep
I want to remain impartial, but I do want to say that particular candidates did focus on looking at students' differences, so not just lumping all students need support, we're actually looking at specific kinds of support, and that's something that's really key when you're being the Vice President support. So that's one thing I will say.
Sophie, again, you are a voter. You don't have to say if you like, but who do you think will be the next VP support?
I noticed that Jess picked up on one of the big issues of the capacity stretch that we've got at the minute at the university, which is a big issue that I know all the VPs are focusing on, and she's really hit it on the nose when she said we're stretching our services to the limit. So I think it would be nice to keep the thread going and pushing something that's a big issue. So for me, I think Jess has really hit something on the head there.
Andre, who was a standout performance for you?
Well, firstly, it's not really the season for predicting election results, is it?
no, anything.
But and also the other thing is, when looking at election result, you've got to look at the electorate as well as the candidates. And obviously, I'm not familiar with the electorate in this case particularly. Having said that, firstly, I'd say Eggy had a lot of cheers, and obviously she's pushing the fact she's an international student with all those experiences. There are a lot of international students here, so you never know. I do think Sam probably had the most solid answers for me, but you know, Jess and Danny were both very good as well. So I'm going to sit on the fence.
Right, we're about to move into the community zone. So hopefully, if you can zoom in. Can you zoom in on this? Can you zoom in on that? Yes. Right. So this is the union homepage, as it is now. There's the YouTube feed that you can watch these debates, and if you I'm not going to do this upside down. If you click on this, Living at the Limit, it takes you to a page here where you can find out more information about this campaign. You can read the whole report, but we're asking you to do two things. One is to fill out the government petition, which isn't live yet. The other is to add your information down here, your name, your town time address, your experience of private rented accommodation. We'll take your details and we'll add them to a letter. We'll send them off to all the local councillors, local MPs, and the full report is there for you to read. Gentlemen, you've had a quick chance to flick through. We've only just brought it out tonight. It's something that I think is going to dominate the rest of the evening, and I think it's something clearly has been dominating Guildford for the last couple of years. Andre, anything that you've seen in the report tonight that particularly shocked you?
Well, particularly shocked me, I'd say no, because it's a compiling of what we've heard from students for many years now. The cost of living in Guildford is not just a student thing, it's a general thing for anybody who needs affordable housing who doesn't already own. It's a struggle, so a lot of those things are common across the board. Well, the one thing that did stand out is the report says there's examples of landlords basically do an auction, playing off possible tenants against each other, which I don't know the legal soundness of that, but I'd be very interested to see the examples and the stats you've got on that.
Right, we have first of two sessions for not VP community, for the community zone. We have so many candidates, we're having to split it into two. And then we will finish the night with VP community. So now it is time to return back upstairs to Rubix for the first of our community zone debates.
The Students' Union has put together a 6-point manifesto on student housing, and we want you to make your voice heard. Go to ussu.co.uk and add your voice, and we will make sure that those who can make a difference will hear you.
Ladies and gentlemen, chairing the debate for the Community Zone, please welcome Connor O'Hara.
We're ready. We are ready. How are we doing? Did we enjoy the dab? How are we all? How are we all this evening? We good? Had a good night so far? Whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're listening up on Stag Radio, big up to you guys up there. Welcome back to SurreyDecides to the floor here on Rubix, and it's time to hear from the candidates for the Community Zone. There's loads of them. There's about 12 of them, so we're going to do it in 2 waves. Let's welcome up our first batch. Good evening, everybody. Please make yourselves comfortable. You'll also notice that we are actually joined by Christy, who's speaking to us on Skype. Where are you calling us from?
Germany.
Germany. Round of applause for Germany, please. That's good effort. Now, as per usual with these kind of debates, they've all been provided with a pre-prepared, put my teeth back in, question. The question for these guys was, how would you maintain the relationships between students and non-student residents living in Guildford? Christy, on the end, we'll go to you first.
Okay, so I believe that being a student at the University of Surrey should not mean that we are just a member of the student community, but also the wider community. Many of us live among non-student residents, and so maintaining the relationship between students and non-students is vital. Not only this, but bridging the gap and becoming involved with non-student residents will prepare us for later on in life when, sadly, we won't have a students' union to support us and we'll have to integrate ourselves into society ourselves. I think the community relations projects, such as the community reps and the Your University newspaper, are great starts at bridging the gap, so I would hope to continue this. But I feel that there are many more ways in which more of us can engage with the non-student community, and more directly as well. Face-to-face contact is always the best way of communicating. So one of my main ideas is to have a student treasure hunt idea in Guildford during the Freshers' Week. This will ensure that from day one, new students are aware and engaging with the surrounding area. And I feel would be a great opportunity to engage also with local shops and charities as part of the clues. For students, however, who have been here longer and go to live off campus, I believe it is equally as vital to have opportunities to be involved in activities. And with the current housing issue, more and more students are having to live further afield, which has resulted in a feeling of isolation. So I would like to prevent this and encourage to maintain relations with non-student residents by providing and expanding the information packs for students that live off campus through workshops and leaflets. This in turn will not only help students gain vital skills and information about the local area, but will hopefully encourage them to get involved and meet non-student residents through open classes, community groups, volunteering opportunities. And speaking of volunteering, my last point is to really encourage volunteering in the local area. Giving back is really important to show that we care about the Guildford community. And so I want to congratulate groups like RAG and Enactus who do a great job. but I feel like we should promote these events a bit more. Campaigning from Germany has shown like Facebook is really hard to just raise the awareness, so we need to use social media in a much more productive way, and help spread the information in a more memorable way. So I want to create more creative ways to advertise the events and volunteering opportunities to meet non-student residents. And this would also be a great way to use creative minds at Surrey. So a vote for me is a vote for connecting our community both on and off campus.
A very comprehensive answer. Thank you, Christy. Zainab.
I think the idea for maintaining the relationship between non-students and students is having more events, like tours showing around new students and freshers, well, placement students coming back from their placement, and master students who are only doing 1 year, to do like tours around Guildford to show the history of Guildford, because I think that they're not aware, and as a fresher I wasn't really aware about many places in Guildford, and not only in the beginning of the year but throughout the year, so more frequent events. And also for a student who are feeling homesick or want to know more about Guildford, they should do like a Big Brother scheme where they would have a source of contact, the union and people in Guildford Council, to advise on communities and like libraries, local libraries they could use, and other events, and yeah.
Thank you very much. And Wissam?
Yes. I have two main points. One is to get them more involved in university events, like selling a percentage of the tickets to non-students, or letting them know about cultural societies. Like, it's very important to know the beauty of diversity. And one more thing is safety and security. So by allowing some of them to attend the self-defense classes would be very essential as well. Second is charity. I would like to emphasize this because it's very important to help our community. I mean, we're living here, and helping them would really also make the community better for everyone. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Round of applause again, please. Lovely stuff. And then starting to my right, Oscar.
Well, I'd get more, bring in charities as well, get people involved, students and non-students, maybe help the students to get involved with Guildford itself, and then even help maybe non-students bring in things that they want to promote to do to students, charities mostly as well. But the other thing is maybe notifications and information saying things we can help out, things that we can't help out, and also for new students, freshers especially, help them understand a bit more about Guildford, the town, as well as university, and bring in society as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Round of applause again, please. Thank you. Gemma?
So I think it's really important that we keep supporting the community rep scheme that's going on at the moment. That is something that I'm really keen on, and it's clear it's really starting to make an impact, but it's just starting to build. That isn't on my personal manifesto though, however, and what I'd really like to work on for my manifesto in particular is actually the volunteering with the local community. We really need to build up a rapport with local communities inside the university to make sure that there's a presence of students positively in the external environment and within the local community of non-student residents. Essentially at the moment, most of the experience non-students get within Guildford is pretty much us going out on a night out on a Friday and Saturday, and that's not who we are. We are more than that. We're people that volunteer, that help out, and we are really trying to make a difference in the future. And I think through volunteering and through really pushing that and trying to get us involved, maybe through moving the volunteer fair that's just after Freshers Week into second semester, which I spoke to the volunteering coordinator within the SU, and we discussed that actually it would probably work a lot better moving it in later on in the year when people have an idea of when they're around and when they want to volunteer and how much they can commit. And it would really work to move that, and then maybe we can just get ourselves in the community more in a more positive manner through volunteering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but no means least, Amber, please.
So being a community rep myself has really led me to understand the importance of having positive relationships between the student and non-student residents. So I have been talking to local residents in my local area, and from this I would propose that we should have more drop-in surgeries so residents can come and talk to us community reps face to face. Interactive off-campus events, so students and non-students are welcome, and it kind of makes everything more accessible for everyone. And just having more community reps in general. For example, Walnut Tree Close at the moment has no community reps, and we need more community reps in these areas. So I think by improving on the community rep scheme and having a more personal, interactive approach, going beyond the current email point of contact we have, this will not only maintain but will also improve the relations we have between the student and non-student residents.
Thank you very much. Very good answers there. I think we can all agree from all of the candidates. We're going to try and speed up the answers now because you all spoke at great length there. And it's time for some questions on your manifestos. Oscar, I'm going to start with you, please. Sir, how are you this evening? You well?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. It says on your manifesto that you want to teach people what community stands for in 30 seconds or less. How are you going to do that?
Well, I asked myself mostly the question, what does community stand for? And I also asked around, a lot of people actually didn't know what it does. So I was kind of wanting to bring that more out. The thing that I really wanted to bring out in the community is bring people together by different awareness events, charities, and really help people connect instead of just staying on your phones. Because a lot of people miss the interactions nowadays, even though people say phones connect people, they do connect people, but sometimes you don't get to see the full person when you're face-to-face in a conversation. So bring more of that in.
Thank you very much. Off to my left then. I think I'm actually going to go to Christy all the way to Germany. Quick answers, please, if you could. It says on your manifesto that you want to improve the relationship between undergraduates, postgraduates and GSA. Now, I'm a final year. I've been to question time 3 times, and somebody has mentioned that every single year. How are you going to do it in a different way to how everyone else has attempted to do that?
I think that basically we need to work on the promotion of everything that we do to integrate the students at the university. As I mentioned earlier, we can't just rely on Facebook events and things like this because too often people won't click attending and they'll forget about it. So I think that that's really key, ensuring that both undergrad, postgrad and GSA get involved. I'd also like to work with the postgrad society and GSA students directly to see what kind of events that they would want and how they think that undergrad students would want to get involved with things that they normally do as their societies.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Wissam, please. You talk about fees and reducing fees on your manifesto. That's quite a big claim. It's quite a big bit of government policy. How are you going to try and help with that through your work on the community zone?
First of all, not all universities pay 17k for international students. And there are many universities, for example, University of Leeds Bucket, they pay 9k for international students. Or University of in London, they pay 14k. So I believe that if they can do it, we can do it as well. And the voice of students is very important. I mean, without us, there is no university. So if we emphasize that and we try to discuss it with the university and discuss how the prices are being decided, we can actually try to reduce the prices.
Okay, so you're referring specifically to kind of international EU students, that kind of thing, yeah?
It's more international because it's very high compared to the national, and a national rate is the same in all universities. That's why I cannot discuss it that much. It's like an international thing.
Wissam, thank you very much. And yeah, round of applause, that's a good answer, good answer. Zainab, you didn't submit a manifesto, so I'll give you a bit longer than 30 seconds, but please try and get across for us now what you actually stand for. What is a vote for you going to do?
All right, so I have 3 pledges, which is encourage, unite, and communicate. So I want to encourage more students to be more involved in the union, especially new students and freshers. So, for example, I met a master's student who's only here for a year, and she didn't know about SurreyDecides or many of the zones, or like many freshers don't even know about SurreyDecide or the zone, activity zone, community zone. So I think we should promote that more through societies, youth societies, so get the message across, and even through student mentors, because I think we should use what we have. And unite really unlike societies. So for example, chess and football, and through like socials by maybe teaming people up with the opposing society and get through like that, and then communicate with the local Guildford Council for our housing problem, because there's a lot of high pricing for houses, and also local events for fundraising and charities, so we could communicate with them to make that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's the first time we've had housing mentioned, but I'm sure it will come up again. Amber, please. It's clear from your manifesto that you want events to be more accessible. This is kind of in terms of events in the community. What do you really mean by that?
Okay, so at the moment I'm currently in communication with the park barn wardens, and I am talking to them about having, for example, a barbecue off campus, possibly on the Tesco's park next door, or a park where we can get funding for. So this is more accessible for all students, people who live in Westborough, Park Barn, even in Manor Park, having more events over there, just so everything is not based on campus. We spend most of our university life living off of campus, so why not have more accessible events off campus?
Brilliant, thank you very much. And finally, to kind of wrap up the manifesto questions section, Gemma, you mentioned in your manifesto the idea of an alternative end-of-year show, something more relaxed than what it currently is. What do you really mean by that, and how do you think that would take shape?
So the idea of this is it isn't instead of, it's an addition to, and it's for those students that don't necessarily want to come to Rubix and spend their celebration of their end-of-year show in a crowded club. As much as I love Rubix, I think there's an option to have potentially a barbecue, a relaxed event with maybe some live music where people can relax, chill out, talk to each other. You've just finished exams, maybe you just want to have some time to chill. And yeah, potentially on somewhere like the lake or on Pat's Field.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Very well done to all the candidates there. And to those of you listening, whether you're in Rubix, whether you're somewhere off in the wide world watching one of the live streams, remember you can get your questions in on #SurreyDecides. And we have had our first Twitter question for the Community Zone candidates. I'm going to go to Christy, please. First answer for this question. The question is, on a scale of horrendous to awful, how bad is it that houses are about to be built on the car park next to the university? What would you, as a possible member of the Community Zone, like to be done about this?
So being actually away from university at the moment, I haven't heard too much about the student reacting to this. So I can't give a completely detailed opinion on this. The car park next to the university, I think obviously we need car parking spaces near to the university, which is really important. The parking facilities are not huge at the moment on the University of Surrey, so accessibility is really important. But of course, the housing issue is also equally important. I think that we also need to look at more private sector student housing. I think that this is more the answer to our problem.
Thank you very much. And Oscar, please. Do you need me to repeat the question, or are you all good?
Yeah, could you please repeat the question?
I certainly can. On a scale of horrendous to awful, how bad is it that houses are about to be built on the car park next to the university? And what would you like to be done about this?
Well, the first thing I would say is it kind of a bit horrendous. Because I know that most students will say that they use that part to go into town. It is, for the moment, a one-way, apart from the bridge. I have actually talked to some students about this, because some people have actually talked to me about this. And one of the things that I would want to say is I would try and go against this. Even though housing is one of the most important things in Guildford, because there's a lack of it, I would try and sort of make other ways, because the people living there would be unfair on them, and they're quite close to the campus. The other thing is I have seen the car park used a lot for freshers, the brand freshers coming in, because the other car park at the other side is always packed. So that one is always sometimes used for other students coming in because of their third years and they need cars to come in. So it is necessary for them, and that's why I try and keep it up.
Thank you very much. Amber, please.
Okay, so at the moment, bar crawls aren't allowed to go down Walnut Tree Close to get onto campus, so we can question how would they get back onto campus since this is the route they usually take. That's the same for all students as well. It's just going to create more concern and complaints towards us as students to have more housing built there. So I would say it's pretty horrendous if you ask me.
Fair enough, thank you. And Gemma now, please.
Obviously horrendous, to just point that. So this has actually been an issue that's been discussed frequently over exec and in Board of Trustees, and it's come up countless times. I know Alex and Saskia really campaigned to really try and get this made into student housing. Unfortunately, it was denied after much of their debating. I think the key thing really is to really support this housing manifesto that's just about to be just been going out now. We really need to make sure we're putting our stories forward. We're signing the petition that's online. This is an issue that's going to be bigger than just a zone issue. This is something that's for the VPs and the presidents, so I definitely would support them in really pushing this manifesto in the council and getting ourselves some more housing.
Thank you very much, Gemma. Wissam, please.
I mean, as they all said, car park is very essential for people to park their cars, but if they're willing to build housing in that area, I hope they're willing also to build a car park which is like 3 or 4 levels for people to access their cars. And yeah, I mean, it has positive and negative. It would kind of solve the issue of housing, but still it will create another issue, which is car parks. So
Okay, fair enough. And finally, Zainab, please.
So I think that it's, a bit bad or awful that they're doing that, because a lot of people commute to university and they come from other places, so obviously they need a place to park. And then also for the people who are living near to university or they need more housing, I think that's not the solution, building houses on the car park, because that's somewhere that that's going to be used, and it should be communicated with the union and Guildford Council, I guess, that we should find other places for housing and rebuilding housings, because they're very terrible houses being rented as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's time for me to do my best David Dimbleby impression. It's like question time. We'll take a question from the floor, please. The lady at the front in red. And a round of applause as well for Leonie with the roving mic.
Okay, so just taking it back to events, the Students' Union Facebook is currently saturated with information about the events that we're providing. How would you suggest we can more clearly advertise the events that we have at the Students' Union?
So how can we more clearly advertise the events that are on at the Students' Union? Amber, please.
So I think continuing with the videos we've got going on at the moment, the videos advertising what's coming on in the current month or so, I think they're, from what I've heard from other students, the most kind of appealing thing to attracting you to go to an event. I think as well kind of giving tasters of the events on the videos as well, having them on these screens during the nights out would be really good as well.
And Gemma?
I think there's definitely an option now to maybe start branching out into zone-specific newsletters, something that could definitely be done more. Obviously, I know we're all inundated with newsletters and we're all inundated with different things from different people, we might not read it, but it just gives at least a chance for everyone to see this exactly what's happening this month, gives you a chance to directly look. The calendars, they're great and they're amazing, but they are quite big, and sometimes you can't be bothered to just sift through all the information on them, so I would recommend starting to do zone-specific newsletters.
Oscar.
The thing that I would like to try and integrate is on Surrey Learn, you will go through Surrey Learn and you always get these newsletters and you just go through them and you just don't want to listen. On Surrey Learn, what I'd like to introduce is on the side a thing of events, just a slide, not even a slideshow, but just a list of the events that will be going up in the month. And you therefore click on it or not, and then it leads you actually to the USSU website. and then from there, it's a good way of making people aware of the websites because they use Surrey Learn, and making a link between Surrey Learn and the Students' Union website.
Thank you, Oscar. Wissam.
I believe using the screens that are around library and here and everywhere around campus is a very good way to advertise the events. Using more flyers in the library to, like, during the events time, and I would say Facebook and social media advertisement would really help. And one more thing is sending messages to society's presidents to send it to their members. That would be also a good idea to advertise the events.
Thank you very much. Zainab?
I think coming back to the student mentors, because student mentors visit, obviously, freshers, they could put the message across. And for other years as well, there are a lot of societies. I think we should take advantage of that and get messages across through their Facebook pages. Since there are a lot of groups and events, everyone puts their going to the event. So I think we should take advantage of that as well. Yeah.
And finally, Christy, do you need the question again? Did you catch it up on the microphone?
Could you just repeat it, please?
The question, correct me, Saskia, if I'm wrong, was something along the lines of how are we going to improve the way that the union advertises its events?
Yeah, so as I think Saskia said, there's a lot of information on the Facebook pages, which is absolutely correct, but I feel like a lot of people don't pay attention to this. And so I feel like we need to get people's attention a lot more, not just on Facebook, on all the social media sites. Snapchat has been used a lot lately. I watched a lot of stories about the Team Surrey Varsity the other day, and I thought that was a really creative way to promote that. I think we also just need to look at targeting students face-to-face as well. So things like flash mobs, having, again, the student mentors out and about talking about them is really key in getting people to talk about the events. And when people talk about it, then they will go. So.
Thank you very much. Right, we are almost out of time, so it's time for one final quickfire question. Let's turn up the spice a little bit. I'll give you all a moment to think about it, but then I need quickfire answers from you. Your pick for VP Community. Are you all happy? Yeah. Amber, go.
Helena.
So Helena, Amber's pick, go.
I'm actually going to wait until after question time to decide. I haven't decided.
Oh, diplomatic.
Same, actually, I'm waiting. Waiting after.
Don't let me down, come on.
I also, I think, let the people decide.
Zainab.
I'll give Helena a vote as well.
Helena, another one for Helena. Christy, your vote?
Again, I'd have to watch, but I know Helena from working in Rubix, and I think should be a great candidate.
Okay. Brilliant. Well, that's it then from these guys. There will be a short break, and we'll be back with the next round of candidates for the Community Zone. A final round of applause for them all, please.
Welcome back to the front room. We're here very, very quickly because this is a two-part debate. We've got so many candidates for the Community Zone, we're splitting it into two. So we are taking a very quick interlude while they swap around upstairs. So I will go, Alex, you've joined us, you've got your microphone, thank you. Andre, this is the one that you really see an other side of the community. I think it's fair to say that the letter writers to your newspaper are usually probably not on the side of students. So you're now seeing the other side of the argument here tonight. What do you think the candidates can do to bring this together a little bit?
It is tricky. I think, first of all, geographically, Guildford's got a very particular situation where there is actually a line or two lines between the university and the town.
Yeah.
Which just naturally creates kind of a slight bit of us and them. I think the us and them's reduced a bit in recent years. But having said that, you're right, our letter writers is often when there's an issue, when there's noise, or when it's questions about, neighbours, that kind of thing. I mean, it was interesting to hear that there's no, what was the phrase, liaison group or whatever in Walnut Tree Close.
Oh, there's no community rep.
Community reps. I'd be interested, I'm not entirely familiar with where they work well. I'm sure that's different in different places. And Walnut Tree Close has got its own challenges, obviously.
Yeah.
But the community does have its representatives in the councillors and in the wardens, and as long as they're being spoken to and listened to in both directions, then there are things that can be done.
Sophie, this is your zone.
My zone. Yeah.
Any highlights from the first batch?
It was nice to see that Amber got involved a lot. She's already a community rep. She's obviously been speaking to a lot of people, making a lot of waves already before she's even come into the election. So it was nice to see she's getting involved. I think Gemma had a really strong voice in there as well. I was quite impressed with the amount of research people had done. I really like to see some people taking part and actually getting in there and seeing what's going on at the uni rather than just taking punts at what they think. They've actually done the research, so I'm pleased to see that.
I think Gemma was pretty strong on that.
She was.
Alex, welcome.
Hi.
How was the atmosphere like up there?
It's good, I think.
Friendly, welcoming?
Very welcoming, very friendly. I think that it's always the first night, so people are a little bit nervous to ask questions and stuff from the floor. So it'd be nice to see some people be brave and ask the candidates a question. But it's good.
Who stood out for you in Part A?
Gemma, definitely. I think she clearly had done her research, like Sophie said, but she just seemed like someone who's not afraid to kind of say her opinion. She's not afraid to shy away from that, so I think she stood out the best for me.
James, has been a huge area of focus for the union and the university in the last few years, community, and we can even see tonight how many candidates we've got. It's something that's really important to students, perversely more so than support.
Yes, interesting. This is one of the new zones that's only a couple of years old. This role didn't exist a couple of years ago. You can see how important it is now. Finding a way for the university and the local community to live together is a really important challenge, and that's, the new community zone are really going to have their work cut out to do that, to help us do that as well.
Thank you. Right, so that was a very quick interlude from us because this is a two-part debate, as we couldn't fit them all on the stage for the whole thing. So we now go back upstairs to Rubix for part 2 of the community zone candidates and a bit more of Surrey Decides.
The Students' Union has put together a 6-point manifesto on student housing, and we want you to make your voice heard. Go to usssu.co.uk and add your voice, and we will make sure that those who can make a difference will hear you.
Ladies and gentlemen, chairing the debate for the Community Zone, please welcome Connor O'Hara.
Back again like a bad penny. Here we go. Let's give a big hand to the second group of Community Zone candidates. And once again, we return to the prepared question once all our candidates are sat down and comfortable. All good to go. We will go from left to right on the answers, please. And the prepared question, to remind you all again, was how would you maintain the relationships between students and non-student residents living in Guildford? Shay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shay. So, as Amber said in the previous group, I hope to maintain this relationship by strengthening the community rep program. For those of you who don't know, it's in its first year, and reps are tasked with the responsibility of ensuring we have a stronger bond and bridging the gap between students and community. By continuing to have reps, we will be able to enhance this program and further create a stronger community. Okay.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Paul.
I'm trying to to help integrate the community, people living in Guildford and the students. I plan on allowing the union to make cards, Christmas cards, Easter cards, that we can give to people who live in the community. Because right now I live on Ludlow Road, and often I have to give my neighbors cards, or like whenever I feel like I'm noisy. So I feel we also need to educate students on how to approach people in the community, and we need to have events that integrate people in the community with students. So basically, we need to do stuff for charity. We need to have Christmas events, Easter events. Whenever there's something happening, we need to be involved in the community, basically. So the voice of the students, needs to be heard outside of the university, basically.
Thank you very much. Round of applause again. Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. From my perspective, I'm a community rep, and I found it a great programme, but I think as a union we should be doing more. So obviously community reps go out into the community and we make relationships with the local residents, and that's great. But I think that we need to be going for a multi-zonal approach. And so from that, I think that we should be working in collaboration with the different zones to ensure that each zone are developing programs in which we can communicate with the wider community. For one example, the Voice Zone, they have done some amazing stuff this year in working with the community. Big up, Ty, yes. That was really good.
It's not all about you tonight, Ty, I'm sorry. Holly, go on.
They ran some wonderful debates, one being the housing debate, and I was there. And it was so great to see members of the community, members who are previous alumni and current students get involved and really speak. And yes, there were debates, but at the same time, there were people who could unite on a common idea. And from that, they see that we are students, we care, and we're involved. And from a community perspective, from the community zone, we organise wonderful events that bring together the community and students. And one example we could do is Free Fest is a wonderful thing that we do every May. And we could expand it, and we can get local traders involved and run like a mini market and get people involved in that sense, where local traders are selling their produce and we get to know local businesses, create more volunteering opportunities. And I think that's just a great idea that potentially we could expand on. And I look forward to hopefully being able to do that.
Thank you very much, Holly. Amber Valletta.
Hi, I'm Amber Valletta. One of the ideas I had was to promote events that happen on campus throughout in Guildford Town Centre with ACM and the other performing arts colleges, because I feel like we're all students, and therefore as students we can all integrate together. So that's by promoting not just events that happen in ACM and PPA, but also on campus with them. And also another event I had there was creating links with these colleges by creating links with these performing arts colleges, maybe to put on shows that, and the proceeds from these shows go to charity or something like that, because there's so many opportunities with these students who aren't from Surrey that they can help with us. And also maybe some volunteering opportunities for people on campus, because I'm sure there are people in the local community, maybe adults, non-students, who would really like to help out with students and maybe have some apprenticeship opportunities or volunteering opportunities.
Thank you very much. Alice?
So
So basically, I'm a community rep this year, and I'd like to ensure that the community rep scheme continues. It helps to build a student-resident rapport, and it's given me the opportunity to attend events that I wouldn't have otherwise. So I've been to community networking events, and it also gives you the opportunity to go to resident association meetings and meet with council members, and a chance to speak with local residents and wardens. I hope to do this by advertising the role more, by attending Freshers' Fair, trying to get first years involved. Even those living on campus, I'd like to get them involved in maybe working with sort of an area in Guildford they may have never actually been to, makes them more aware of the areas. Also, as a rep, I've spoken to wardens in the North Guildford area, and they would quite like to see people using their facilities more for events. And one example is the Park Barn Centre. It would be great to hold sessions here for both students and residents to attend, where basically people can just talk. Communication is essential, listening to each other's stories, and basically getting the message out there that we are all residents of Guildford and that we're all equally as important. And lastly, I would like to make people more aware of already established events, such as Free Fest. This was a festival introduced in the 1970s as a way of engaging with the local community, and although brought back in 2015, I still feel like there could be more done to promote this further, whether this is posters, leaflets, through doors, word of mouth, and working with wardens to put this in their letters that they send out to people.
Thank you very much. Round of applause again. And finally, on the end, Alex.
Hello, everyone. So firstly, I would encourage students to get involved in local residents' campaigns, such as the struggle, the fight, to build the housing we need, and also to defend vital services at the Royal Surrey Hospital. Like, for example, stroke services are being cut, and you have to go to Frimley if you have a stroke. That could take up to an hour in rush hour. So these are really important issues. Furthermore, I would reach out to concerned residents. As been mentioned earlier, there's a lot of apathy and mistrust of students. But the real enemy are people like the university and private developers who are hoarding land and not building the housing that we need. And finally, with upcoming county council elections, we have a real opportunity to get our voice heard. In the North Guildford and Guildford West, a few hundred votes could swing the results. So whether I get elected or not, I will be campaigning to get students out and holding our elected representatives to account to make sure that they represent us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Time for some questions on manifestos, and I think, Alex, if you don't mind, I'll start with your fine self, sir. So in your manifesto and in the answer you gave to the question there, you talk about campaigning against cuts to the NHS, campaigning for more affordable housing, leading rent strikes. That sounds a little bit like you might be standing for the wrong zone. Why are you stood for the community zone as opposed to the voice zone?
Well, first of all, I think the zone structure is quite fluid, and I don't think you should be restricted to vague definitions of the zones. I think it's important we work across all issues. So to answer the question, I believe strongly that students, they're not just students. It's not just a Monday to Friday thing. You should be actively involved in your community. So that's why I chose this zone.
Fair enough, fair enough. I will look across to the gentleman on my left then, please. Paul, your manifesto, for want of a better phrase, and I don't want to sound rude or too, Charlie-like in my questioning, it's a little bit sparse, mate. I struggled to get any kind of policy out of it. So I want to know what it is exactly you want to achieve. You imagine for me now that it's July 2018, your term as a community zone member is up. What are you going to have achieved? What are you going to be most proud of?
I want to do a lot of things, and I have a lot of ideas to bring to the university. I want to do more fashion shows. I want to do more outdoor musicals. I want to do more food events. I want a lot of things to happen on campus. I have a long list of things. But the reason why I couldn't put everything on the manifesto was I wanted people to understand that if I'm voted in, I want to listen to what everyone wants to be done. I would do that first before pursuing my own personal the things that I feel personally should be done on campus. So obviously, I'm here for the majority. If the majority votes me in, then I must represent the majority. So I can't necessarily have just my own voice. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's why there's not much on the manifesto.
That's a fair enough answer. I did challenge you on that. Fair enough. Holly, so on your manifesto, you talk about more events during Freshers' Week during the daytime for people who might be commuting in or whatever. But Freshers' Week daytimes are filled with things like going to registration, going to intro and welcome talks from the departments, from the Students' Union. Where are you going to find time for these events in there?
That's a very valid point in that sense. I think that Freshers' Week is a very difficult time to be able to fit things in. People are very busy during the day. They have their registration usually on, I think it's a Wednesday or a Thursday. They have the introduction to their lectures. But I think the thing to remember is that these are people who are moving to potentially a new town, a new city, and they're scared and they want to be able to make more friends. But there's two sides to it. There are people who live on campus, they're going out during the night, or they may not be because they might not find that engaging. They're going out during the night, and then during the day when they don't have their registration, when they don't have the introduction to their course, when they don't have meet and greets, they have lots of free time where they're not filling that time effectively. That could be time which they could be meeting lots of people, making more friends, and going to Freshers' Fair on the Friday with. Also, from the other perspective, something I found is that you have people who are commuters, and it doesn't appeal to everybody. This isn't something that is relevant for everyone, yes. But commuters have the problem where they don't feel like they're a part of the university. They come here for their lectures and they leave. And how do you think it feels for those people when they come here in Freshers' Week and there's maybe a few events, a nice mocktail and pizza night, which, you know what, it was a wonderful event. I had people who went to that say to me they really enjoyed it, and that's great. But we need more of that. We need more events that aren't necessarily billed as an alternative to Rubix, but events that are an alternative to spending your daytime sitting in Starbucks saying, what am I doing with my life? I just think that more events such as trips, more events such as a massive ultimate frisbee game where we can get societies and work with Activity Zone, things like that would really engage and get people to make more friends and go beyond their flat and really integrate with the society and create more diversity. So that's
fair enough. Thank you very much, Holly. If we go to next, Alice. Under the entertainment heading on your manifesto, you said that you want to run more interactive events at Rubik. Interactive is the word that you focus on. What do you actually mean by that? Like, can you give us any examples of how that would take shape?
So I basically was referring to sort of maybe like the live acts and the ones you physically watch something on stage. So I spoke to members of the Community Zone this year, and they said that having sort of theme nights where you dress up weren't necessarily popular. So it came out that the Hawaiian night came out as most popular on the poll. However, actually, when it came to the event, not many people came to it. And I know Fetish Night is one of the quickest selling events, and this is an opportunity for people to sort of watch while also, you know, being entertained by like dancing, etc. So I feel like interacting with the event isn't necessarily actually physically interacting, but actually watching, dancing, kind of. But I did also think of ideas where you can be interactive. So I've heard of a bar in London where they have table tennis, and you can play table tennis while drink and also sort of talk with new people. And I think this would be quite a good event to have, as well as sort of, you know, beer pong events and just like events that people can physically get involved and not just, you know, just dancing. Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. And Amber Valletta, you mentioned the charity Operation Christmas Child. For those of you who don't know who this charity is, basically they work with school and college groups to kind of get together these shoe boxes that are sent off to disadvantaged children. They've sent things off to children that have been affected by Chernobyl into sub-Saharan Africa, etc., that kind of thing. I've worked with them previously. They're a wonderful charity, but I can vouch for the fact that it is an absolute logistical nightmare to try and get all those things together. You're going to be part-time in this role. How are you going to be able to implement that?
Well, I feel like as we have so many societies here at Surrey, that each society could take it upon themselves to put together a few boxes, because if we each do a small part, we can make a big difference. So if each society were to put together a few boxes and they had a few fundraising events to raise the £3 across to send the box, then together as a community and as a university, we can make a big difference in these children's lives.
Short and sweet. Thank you very much. And finally, Shay, on your manifesto, you talk about cultural restraints. Can you explain what you mean by that, and then go on to sort of delineate how you're going to remove these cultural restraints?
So, as an international student coming to university for the first time, I find that I often just go to people like me. I mean, I just go to, let's say, the ACS Society. I hang out with them a lot, and I find myself just there. I mean, people are not given the opportunity to explore other cultures. That's why I proposed a Culture of the Week idea. This way, we have different cultures. I mean, this university is international. There are different people here. We have different cultures, and every week we're enlightening about new cultures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before coming on for the debates, I was having a look through the job descriptions for the various roles, and one of the things that really stood out to me from the Community Zone job description was the line, they need to be students with a passion for events and entertainment. Just quickly, can you all give me an example of how you think you fit that phrase? Alex?
I wouldn't say the events and entertainment is my forte on this. I've not got it, mate. How do I fit the description? I'm all for, socials and stuff, getting people out into the community. So if you're having socials out of campus, going to local bars and cafes, etc., that could be a good way to integrate students into the community.
Thank you very much, Alex. Paul, your thoughts?
Looking at me, you can see I'm a very entertaining person. But yeah, right now, currently, I'm the Vice President of the Afro-Caribbean Society. ACS Field Chair. Yeah, so the ACS has been a lot more eventful than it has been before this year. We've multiplied the events by, so far, we've had about 2 events every month. Mm-hmm. And I feel I could bring this into the community zone. Also, about event planning, I have actively involved myself in a lot of planning of events in Lagos, Nigeria, where I come from, where it is a very hard place to get people together, to involve people, to inform people about things that are going around them socially. And that is what I'm standing for. I'm standing for love, for information, for bringing people of different backgrounds together, people with different orientations together, to be able to come together and enjoy themselves. So, yeah, I fit the description.
Paul, thank you very much. Alex? Repeat the question, yes, certainly. So it says in the job description for Community Zone, you need to be students with a passion for events and entertainment. How do you think that you fit these criteria?
Okay, I haven't actually had experience in the past with working with events and entertainment, but I have a real passion for actually putting this into practice. So I'd really love to see events taking place outside campus and on campus, but like with the whole sort of incorporating the community outside of university and within the university, like the Free Fest thing. I would love to do this. But yeah, I just have a real passion for bringing everyone together, whether just, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Amber Valletta.
Well, I take part in quite a lot of events. Like I was in the ACS Take Me Out, and I was in the K-Bench. I went to Frank Morton, and personally, I'm a big lover of Rubix. Like, I really whoop whoop, yeah. I really love events, and I love entertainment, and I feel like people. I do love events, and I love entertainment, and I feel like people can learn more about the live music events going on and stuff, and yeah, I feel like I am. I didn't answer the question, sorry.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, round of applause again. Out in the end there, Shay.
I'm the current events coordinator for the ACS, and as Paul said, we have more than doubled the event previously from last year. I mean, there's this drive in knowing that people are going to enjoy something you create, and working with the ACS team has been very instrumental to my drive to apply for to go for this zone. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Shag. And Ollie, finally.
Awesome. So for me, with this aspect of this role, I think I come from it from two different perspectives. So I'm the president of the Photographic Society, and with that, we host a lot of events, sometimes almost like 2 or 3 a week, and it involves a lot of organisation, a lot of work with my team, who are amazing, to organise these events and cater for a lot of people who might like to go out, might not like to go out. We do day trips, and so for me, event organisation is at the heart of everything I do. So that's more from people who are non-drinking, largely, but from the other side, I love Rubix, much like Amber. I love it, and I'm fundraising coordinator for Psychology Society, but we work as a collaborative society where we all contribute, and we organise bar crawls, we organise socials, and I love getting to know people. I love meeting people on nights out. Like any one of my friends will say, I'm literally the most sociable person. I'll talk to a stranger, I really don't mind. But that's what I think I can bring to the role.
Holly, thank you very much. We've got time now for a question. Round of applause, yeah. Question from the floor. I think there was a hand up first there. Leonie's on the way. The real star of the show, the real MVP. Right in the middle there, that's it.
Hi guys. A lot of you talk about people with different cultural backgrounds. You talk that you have a lot of experience. My question is, how many, like if you've been to any events of a different cultural background to yours? So I've heard that you were a part of ACS, you've been a part of different other, what have you been?
Can you repeat the question, sorry?
So have you been to an event that is not from your cultural background?
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much. That's a good question. Yeah. Holly, we'll kick off with yourself.
Sure. I'm born and raised in London, so I may be half Spanish and I'm half Greek, but I haven't been involved in the Hispanic and Portuguese or Italian society this year or last year. However, I went to the Latin night recently, and it was absolutely amazing, and it sort of motivated me to go to more events hosted by people from other backgrounds, because for me it's not something I've really engaged with. I wasn't growing up from that country, and it was great to sort of get more involved and see the sort of events and go, you know what, this is actually a really fun night and these people know how to party. So
Thank you very much. Alice, please.
Well, I haven't actually attended many of the events that are of the different cultures, but I do appreciate that there is, like, especially this term, there is much more awareness for more cultural events. So there's like the Bollywood night. So I feel like, although I haven't personally been to them, I do feel like it's to be aware of them and to push them through more, especially for Friday nights as well.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Amber.
Recently, I went to the Friends of Palestine event because they were holding one where a lady who is making movies came in and showed 3 movies that she's going to be holding at from film festivals. And it was really interesting because the whole Syria crisis is something you hear about a lot, but to be there and to hear it firsthand through these videos was a really interesting experience.
And Violetta, thank you very much. Down on the end, Shay.
I haven't actually been to any events outside my cultural restraint. It's not because I'm not aware of them. It's just you find that, okay, the people you're associated with don't go to that area. And it's a situation where, okay.
We can come back to you if you need a bit more time. Paul, do you mind?
I'd like to tell you a bit more about the ACS. Basically, it's the Afro-Caribbean Society, and I'm from Nigeria. In Africa, there are a lot of countries, and I was raised up in Nigeria. So basically, me being in the Afro-Caribbean Society means I'm interacting with people from about 60 different countries, and from the Caribbean too, different islands. So me being in the ACS is already interacting with so many people from different backgrounds. Apart from that, the ACS does a range of events. A few days ago, we did a Jollof battle, which was Ghanaian Jollof versus Nigerian Jollof. And let me tell you why that brought me to meet a lot of people. I never knew that Arabs, Russians, Germans, they love jollof rice. These people love jollof rice. You never know. So the thing is, you might not interact with different cultures, but from your point of view, you can make your culture the vantage point where everyone wants to be around you. So I feel it's more about selling your culture and making it more attractive and encouraging other people to be like you. Stand out for your culture and share your culture for people to know that, yes, my culture is beautiful. People can love my culture. It doesn't mean, like, I was at the Islamic Society, did a fundraising. I volunteered to help cook and everything. And I realized that it's just a lot of hype on social media. Like, there are a lot of nice Muslims. Like, if you don't interact with people, you can't know. And the problem is, people don't leave their comfort zones, and that's why I'm trying to come out. I'm not really for, like, sorry, I'm going time.
But yeah, wrap it up when you can.
Yeah, so I'm not really here for, like, the normal people, because I was campaigning the other day and someone told me, well, how do you expect to win with you have blonde hair and everyone voting is an average British person? I'm like, no one was born average. Like, in you have something different that differentiates you from everybody. And because you've not been in a position to express it doesn't mean you don't have that thing in you. So basically what... Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you.
I think we've got the gist. Thanks, mate. Shay, we'll come back to you. Are you okay?
Can you repeat the question?
The question was, have you sort of diversified? Have you ever attended an event that was from sort of a culture that's not your own?
Like I said earlier, I haven't. And it's all about the information in the end. I haven't been truly made aware of, like, every activity from different cultures on campus. And that's why I suggested the Culture of the Week program. This way we know more about cultures, and even if we don't attend, we're enlightened towards their culture. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Alex, finally.
Thanks. So I'm a member of the French Society. I also attended the Latin night. That was good fun. Also, alors, j'adore parler en français. C'est la langue d'amour.
Fair enough.
I also go out in town. Fresco, the cafe on Friary Street is a great place for coffee. Meet the Greek, love that stuff. Can't beat it.
Other takeaways are available.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm friend of all nations. I'm willing to get involved in all sorts, everything.
Alex, thank you very much. Round of applause. We're going to have to almost wrap it up there, so I'm going to go to the tried and trusted method. Please summarise why everyone should vote for you in a tweet. I'll give you 10 or 15 seconds to think something up, and then we'll go from left to right, please. Right, and when we say a tweet, we do mean 140 characters, please, not 140 words. Shay, are you ready to kick us off? Yeah, give it a go.
A vote for me is a vote for more creativeness, and vote for Shay.
Fair enough. Paul.
For the culture.
I love this university. I'll do anything it takes to make it better. Please vote for me.
Fair enough.
You are the ones who need the change, and I am the girl who can make it happen.
I'm all there for the community. I will do whatever it takes to just help bring everyone together. Vote Alice for community.
And Alex, finally.
Vote Alex Stewart for community, to fight for the housing we need, to defend NHS services, and for equal treatment of all students.
Lovely jubbly, thank you very much. Well, there we are then. That's all of the Community Zone candidates have had their time in the limelight, and it's now up to you guys, the students of Surrey, to choose who you want to run the Community Zone over the coming year. Don't forget to vote when the link comes out for yourselves, and let's make some noise finally for all of the Community Zone candidates.
welcome back to the front room. We've just had the last part of the community zone candidates. I should probably at this point explain to you, if you've never voted in a student union election before, how this works. You will get an email from an account called Student Union Announcements. It will come out sometime on Tuesday, and it will have your unique voting link within it. That will become active as soon as the question time on Tuesday night finishes, and then you will get to choose in all, one, some, none of the elections. You don't have to vote in all of them. For the zone elections, for all elections, you vote your order of preference. Your most favourite candidate gets a 1, second favourite gets a 2, third favourite gets a 3, and so on and so forth. In the zones, there are 5 candidates elected, apart from activity zone, of which there are 3, and then we have Team Surrey Chair and Society Executive Chair. That will be clear tomorrow. And then for the VPs, obviously the winner, and we use a single transferable vote system, gets elected. So if you've never done it before, it can be a little bit confusing, but there'll be plenty of videos during the week to make sense of it, and you will get your voting email by Tuesday night when the voting goes live, and you have until Friday afternoon to make your vote. So we've just heard about the community and a varied conversation. We had everything from the NHS to jalopy rice. I think Twitter loved Paul. I think especially when he took his hat off. Yeah, lots of comments on Twitter. Lots of great candidates trying their best. Alex, how did you find it?
I thought it was very different from the first debate. We focused a lot, with Sophie and I were saying that it was focused a lot around housing. This one was more around events and kind of what they can bring to the role. I thought Alex stood out as quite a different candidate from the others, which is a good thing, I think, as a candidate, especially going for his own position when there's so many candidates. You've got to be able to stand out. I thought Holly stood out as well. But it was interesting to hear everyone's responses. They were all very different. But it's a tough decision. There's a lot of candidates.
Sophie, how were they compared to the first group?
As Alex and me were saying, there's a different type of topic. I wanted to hear a bit more about the housing in this debate. It's quite an important one, but it was nice because I study events. It was nice to hear about some events and people had some really good ideas. It's nice people want to get involved off campus. I think that's quite important. So it was good that that was a form of topic. A few people did impress me. Alex stood out again. He had some different views on things. Holly, she had a strong voice in there, and Alice had some really good opinions. She's very involved in bits and bobs, so it was nice to see that she wanted to integrate community reps a bit more. And I think it's important to keep building on manifestos. It's quite frequent that people drop past manifestos and progress could easily be made and build upon it. And it's nice that she wants to keep the reps in go. And work on that and make them more of a key focus. They've been really effective this year, and I think it's nice. She wants to keep it going.
There was a lot of comment about Alex as he's standing for the right zone, but I think it's fair to say that the role description for community completely allows him to do what he wants to do. You know, campaigning within the student community. So it's quite refreshing to see somebody to break free of the, you know, and probably think a little bit creatively. So for the first time, we were talking about this last time round, Andre. We were talking about national politics coming into student union politics, and there we had it. We had our first candidate talking about the NHS, talking about local politics and local issues.
Yeah, and as you said, quite surprising it hasn't come up sooner. I mean, in particular, he picked up the stroke services disappearing from Royal Surrey, which, interestingly, our experience is there hasn't been as big a uproar as you might expect. I was expecting that to be one of the big things this year, but I've certainly not seen that. But he's obviously keen on it and probably heard from different people to the people I have. So, no, good for him for joining those issues.
Do you think any of these candidates will improve community relations, and any of them do you think may harm them?
What I found interesting there particularly was, as you said, the range of the role deals with. So you talk about entertainments and having a passion for events. I suppose what would be good is if more events were open to general public. Having said that, they probably are to a large extent already, just not being attended quite as much as they might be. To answer your question, which I've dodged so far, no, I don't think any of them would harm relations with the public. I think what you need is obviously people who are good at speaking, and the vast majority of the last 12 that we've heard from are good speakers who seem to be in it for the right reasons. So
yes, they were all very confident, they were very eloquent, not saying the other candidates weren't, but you could see the different kind of personality that goes for the different kind of role. James, university took a couple of swipes there, but nothing too drastic.
No, I don't think so. I was very amused to see what happens when you put a political activist in charge of the events programme for a nightclub. I think that might be quite fun. I think your point about would they advance community relations, I think they would all advance community relations. I thought they were all really good at that. The difference, I thought, between this group and the support group before, this group was a much more passionate group of individuals, much more passionate about their subject. I think that might be partly to do with their involvement in the community rep scheme already. It's a bit like a proving ground for, you know, for this kind of thing. So that's definitely something, you know, we should build on. And you had candidates there going away from pre-prepared scripts and speaking from the heart. Paul did that brilliantly towards the end, really spoke from the heart. And do you see how that engaged with everybody?
Yes,
how he connected with everyone doing that? Imagine having someone like that out talking to our community neighbours. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. There was a very interesting question came up about attending cultural events outside your own culture. And that is something that we all see. You know, we see Islamic Awareness Week being advertised to Islamic students, Afro-Caribbean events, Afro-Caribbean students, you know, Indian society events full of Indian students. Is this something where we've sort of failed to kind of have a cross-cultural campus community? That's the 4 C's there.
I would say we failed. I just think that we always advertise, well, we obviously facilitate as a students' union, but the societies ultimately, it's up to them to advertise to different cultures across campus. So, and I think we educate our societies and we train our societies really well to make sure that all their events are inclusive to everyone. So I wouldn't say we failed. Could we do more to advertise them for them? Perhaps we could, but like Saskia, she raised a comment earlier that our social media presence is saturated with so many different events already. So it's about societies, I think, thinking outside the box on how they draw people in. I think probably that's the key to it. I was just going to bring up something that James said, that there was a tweet that went around earlier about what's more important, your passion or your experience going for a role. I definitely think it's your passion. I think if you really want to engage in this role, any role, as long as you care and you really show that passion, experience doesn't matter, you'll pick it up. It's fine.
Andre, this is something that comes through in the census results. I was looking at the 2011 census because that's the kind of wild and crazy guy I am. And the demographics for Guildford compared to the county of Surrey are way out.
You're not going to test me on this.
I'm not going to test you on this, but you know the age range, the cultural background, Guildford is completely anomalous compared to the rest of Surrey, with the exception of Egham, which has Royal Holloway. So clearly the university brings a completely different kind of community. Again, I'd see, I've made this point before about, you know, your readers and the student community, and there seems to be clear blue water between each. We do have this multicultural mix in Guildford. Why do you think it's not probably, you know, interacting as closely as it could be?
I'm not really sure it's a cultural thing. I'm not sure it's something that's could be drawn along those demographic lines. Obviously, there will always be certain areas of society where these things are. I think it's more purely the town being, as I said before, geographically divided, and with a lot of transient people, you know, coming in. I don't know what the figures are, but to a large extent, it's coming for 3 years and then leaving. I'm sure you might be able to tell me roughly what the figures are. Compared to the other side of the river or the railway, whichever way you look at it, or the A3, people who are going to live there far beyond the 3 years.
Now, tonight we also saw, and you're beginning to see, this come out, and it's on the front page of the Union website. You can click on the image and you can download. A couple of you have already filled out your details and what you say, and I know that many of you have done this already because it forms a large part of what's in here, but we're asking you to do it again. Alex, tell us a little bit about this campaign, what you're hoping to achieve and what it's all about.
So Living at the Limit started last year when I kind of said I wasn't really happy with how students were being treated at Surrey, especially in the private sector when it comes to accommodation. So the Students' Union sent out a survey. I'll hold it like that so you can see it. So the Students' Union sent out a survey to all students asking them to share their experience of living in Guildford, or not necessarily in Guildford, but in the wider area, because obviously not all students can live in Guildford. And pretty much, well, near to 100% of the comments that we received were awful. You know, rent's too much, I never hear from my landlord, the state of my accommodation is appalling and shocking, I'm being charged a ridiculous amount in fees by letting agencies, I can't even find somewhere to live, I'm sleeping on a sofa. You know, the stories were endless and horrific, and you know, we've compiled all the evidence, all the information you've given us, and it's formed this campaign. So it's made up of 6 manifesto points. I won't read them out now, but you can go on the website and you can look at them. And on Tuesday, I'll be delivering this to Anne Milton in London myself, as well as sending this in the post to all the Guildford Borough councillors, some members of Surrey County Council, all the University Council members, because it's not just a national crisis, but it is a Guildford crisis. There are not enough homes, there's not enough good homes, and there's not enough affordable homes for students. And it has a ripple effect among the community, I think. So, you know, we have other residences who aren't students complaining that it's students' fault, and it's just this continuous circle, vicious circle, and nothing gets resolved. So hopefully, nothing, you know, unfortunately nothing will happen in the next few months. It will be well after I'm gone, but this will start to create some change soon. So please read it, and like Alan said, sign your name to it.
Sophie, you would have just spent a year in private accommodation, yes?
I have.
What was your experience in finding a house living in Guildford?
I was rather lucky, actually. Jack Pawley, the old VP support, was one of my hall's housemates' brothers. Right. So he had contacts with a really good landlord, actually. She's really lovely. And we managed to get a house without going through an agency. It was really quick and easy for me, which is not the case with everyone else. I was very, very lucky. She's a wonderful landlady. She's really attentive. She attends any problem we have. She's great, but I have heard terrible things, but I was very fortunate.
James, the other thing that this throws up is the myth that students are taking away family homes, when actually it appears to be the other way around. The dearth in housing is pushing students, and not just students, those who cannot afford as much as others, out to the margins. So we can see the map of term time postcodes, most students living in Woking, Merrow, Burpham, Farnborough, Aldershot, and that's putting big pressure on university resources.
Yes, it's mean students have to live further from the university than otherwise would be ideal, which means more transport issues, which means more support issues. So yes, it's a challenge. Guildford is a town that hasn't properly adjusted to being a university town. It can take a generation for that to happen. It has happened in other big cities in the UK, and you know a university town when you're in one. We're still struggling to make that adjustment in Guildford. It's for both of us, the university and the town, to make that adjustment. There's quite a lot of work to do.
Andre, you've seen this develop over many years. Without getting into the blame game, how do you think this could have been prevented?
This being the shortage of houses for affordable houses for students and other people. Well, I'll say I don't have that answer. It has been a struggle for the years I've been at the Surrey Advertiser to build housing. What you do see quite often is the big developments that get really pushed don't have that much affordable housing as a proportion anyway. So even where things are being turned down and frustrated for whatever reason, good or bad, actually there's not the affordable housing that students or lower paid workers can afford. So no, I don't have the answer. I would say that the other issue, obviously, with students being pushed further out is that the infrastructure problems the borough has is up there with housing. And it's only making it worse if people are having to travel a long way to go to either their jobs or to university.
Well, Andre says he doesn't have the answers. Thankfully, we do. We have 6 manifesto points in Living at the Limit, which you can download from the Union website. We've been tweeting out links, and we're looking for you to get involved. It's going to be another hot topic, student housing, as we go to our last debate of the evening. This is for the second sabbatical position, the position of VP Community. So for the last time, we send you upstairs to Rubix for more Surrey Decides.
The Students' Union has put together a 6-point manifesto on student housing, and we want you to make your voice heard. Go to ussu.co.uk and add your voice, and we will make sure that those who can make a difference will hear you.
Ladies and gentlemen, chairing the debate for VP Community, please welcome Emily James.
Hello everybody and welcome to the final debate of this evening. Let's welcome the candidates for VP Community to the stage.
Am I at the right place?
I think so, yeah.
Oh shit.
So
I'm actually very nervous. Can I just quickly do one thing and just get it out of my system?
it depends what it is.
Just standing up and just there.
Okay, yeah.
All right. All right.
Maybe everyone in here needs to do one of those. Okay, as always, let's start with the pre-prepared question. So the question you received earlier in the week, as VP Community, how will you liaise with the Guildford community to improve the issues students are facing in the private housing sector? So if you'd just like to introduce yourself briefly and answer the question, let's go from my left, so Zainab.
Hi, my name is Zainab Donley. This is not going to be a clear-cut answer because when it comes to the issues in the private housing sector right now, there's rogue landlords, there's a problem of poor quality housing, and then there's the fact that there's no housing at all. But thankfully, the Students' Union currently has built good ties within the community. So currently, there's a good relationship with Paul Spooner, who is the head of Guildford County Borough Council. We also have Tony Roof, who was here for the housing debate, who is the Councillor for Housing and Social Welfare. So I'd continue to build on these relationships. Also, today, as the President mentioned, the Housing Manifesto has been launched. So obviously, I'd like to continue building on that because there are so many issues that are being tackled in that Housing Manifesto. So it's just making sure that there's an element of continuity, and obviously there's an element of passion and rage. We need to really, really, really go forth with this Housing Manifesto as much as possible, you know? We need to continue to build on the relationships that we have, or if I win the show, I'll continue to build on the relationships that the Students' Union has built with the Surrey County Councils, the mayor as well, and yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Zainab. Kizo.
Hi guys, my name is Kizo. The question is actually very broad. I believe when it's asking, in a way it's also asking us how are we going to connect the Guildford community with the students. And I believe that we should introduce this survey called Rate Your Landlord Survey, where all the current students, they rate their landlords, and the ones that are actually performing well and are actually treating the students well will be rated quite highly compared to the ones who are not. With this, it actually gives the agents and the students a better view of how the landlords are treating them. And then obviously the ones that are rated quite low are going to be dealt with by the agents because they can clearly see that they've been given a very low rating. With this would cause a competition in the market and somehow help them either to reduce the fee or give better facilities to the, to the tenants who are living there. The other thing what I was thinking about was having like a complaint box, because there are many students who don't want to come out and tell their problems related to their housing and everything to the student union. And I think there should be a complaint box where they come, they don't even have to write their name, they just mention their problems. And then when you open it up, I'll try to see like the ones that are very important and then the ones that can be solved instantly and stuff like that. And then we'll figure it out, like how to actually bring the community together. And I was thinking that we don't really have a lot of events where the community actually gets to interact with the students. So I was hoping to have like events in the daytime where the students and the community come together. They can literally just play dodgeball or have like share a meal, or like how there's iGala, where there's a lot of cultural societies that show their culture. I was hoping that the Guildford Society could be part of it as well, and they could come and see that, look how many students are actually coming to your town, your city, and they're actually being there. So in a way to help them appreciate the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Kizo. And finally, Helena.
Yeah, so the primary problem with the housing situation at the minute is essentially just the lack of it. And ultimately, the only way that we can do something about that is by getting the council, getting the university to build more houses. If we can work with the community and join forces, we're going to have a much bigger voice. Extending the community rep system so that we have more community reps covering more areas, and being able to use this as a way to infiltrate a direct means of communication with the Guildford community means that they can be informed about what the union is doing. So, for example, Alex's new campaign, Living at the Limit, they're not going to necessarily know about that instantly. But if we've built up a rapport with them and we can set up some kind of newsletter system that they can opt into and they can find out what's going on and they can get involved with it. Because if we're shouting about it, they're shouting about it, they're having exactly the same issues as us. But the flip side of that is it's going to take time. And there's a lot we need to do in the interim. There are students here and now, this year, next year, who are going to be sat there going, I cannot find a house that I can afford. And there are little things and there are big things that we can do about that in the interim. We can either sit here and we can organise short-term events, so ways that they can save money in other manners so that they have that little bit extra that they can put towards their rent, or working with University of Surrey Lettings to expand the accessibility of information on housing and the houses available. One of the things I really want to do is work with other institutions within Guildford and the surrounding areas to be able to pool our resources and find out where the houses are, which houses are good quality, and when they're going to be available. Because there are some houses that don't get listed anywhere until sort of June, July time, and there are students before Christmas sitting there going, okay, I have to sign this contract because otherwise I'm not going to find a house. There are like no more available online at the minute, so I'm going to sign this contract for £600 a month. And it's not okay because there's just the lack of information and it needs to get out there.
Thank you, Helena. So I'm going to move on to probing you about your manifestos in a second, because you mentioned there the Living at the Limit housing manifesto that Alex has been advertising this evening. You were all actually emailed a copy of this in advance. So I'm going to ask you all the same question. What do you think is the most important manifesto point? And let's go from my right. Helena.
Most important manifesto point is I honestly can't remember the points as exactly as they were written, so please excuse me for getting it slightly wrong. But the point about building student, what are they called, purpose-built student accommodation. So accommodation that is kind of like halls of residence. It's designed for students, and it means that you can get so many more students into a small area, and means that we're not taking up loads of space in Guildford town, and we can just condense it, and students can still get a brilliant experience living in these purpose-built apartments, but at much less impact on the community.
Okay, Helena. Kizo?
I think the point that I found very important and attractive was not to just build student houses, but to actually build student homes, where the students actually feel part of the place they're living. And what I realized was that this year the quota was around 15,000 students, and it's actually going to increase to 18,000 students by next year. And that's just like, it's a quotation.
Where did you get those figures from?
Actually, I was going online. I'll send
Where
you the
online?
link, but it was like I think a few days ago, so I can't really remember the link.
So you trust this source of information even though you can't remember where it was from?
I was actually on the union. Well, to be honest, in a way, yes, because did you know that the vet school is actually a 5-year course, and they only have 3 years right now? And next year there's going to be a 4-year, and so that means one more year is going to be joining the university. So that means that 1 year of students who are not actually part of the accommodation or anything, they're actually just going to be added on. So that's why, in a way, I did accept it, because it's very true that there's a whole new batch that's coming that hasn't even been accounted for so far to the vet school, and vet school is big. And
Okay, I get that point. So let's move back on to the question. What do you think is the most important manifesto point?
like I said, it's the homes. It's not just the houses.
Okay, thank you, Kizo. And finally, Zainab.
Thank you. I think the most important point to me was the weighing system. Currently, students in Guildford are paying tremendous amounts of money to get subpar houses at most, and we're still being weighed the same as we're not being sorry, can I read?
It's fine, yeah.
So basically, I believe that the weighing system in Guildford should be as it is in London, because a lot of students are paying basically the same amount or more than house people in London, and they're still getting weighed differently when it comes to student loans and things of the sort. According to the National Department, statistics have shown that rental prices have decreased in London, but they've increased in Southeast, so in the Southeast region. So surely places like Guildford and University of Surrey, students who are in this university should be getting a better, should be weighed like people that live in London and such, as home students. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. So let's move on to some of the manifestos. So let's start with you, Zainab. Let's see. You mentioned you want to introduce a night watch volunteer scheme that would run on Monday nights, aiming to ensure students get back to campus safely after a night out. What exactly would this involve? Are you going to place people along common walks home and get people to kind of stalk people on their way home after a night out? How would it work?
So basically, there's this group called Guildford Street Angels, and during Freshers Week, they emphasize an interest with wanting to work with the union. And currently, they already do like night watch schemes. So if we could have a volunteering system that collaborates with them, I think that would be a very good thing, because I was reading the other day about a Surrey student who was racially attacked. And as a black woman on campus, I felt very targeted, knowing that the university had not displayed any information about this attack, and knowing that something like this could happen to me at any point. So one of the things that made me passionate about a potential night watch system is just knowing that if we could collaborate with this Guildford Street Angel group, knowing that if I go out, or if anyone goes out on a Monday night and if they're coming back to campus or, different areas where students are more predominant, there would be a sort of safety, there would be a sort of reassurance knowing that, okay, there are students who have volunteered, maybe they might wear a shirt that shows, okay, I'm in night watch in student night watch, just knowing that wherever I go, like, there's just someone that has my back.
And I'm going to just ask you another question. So currently you're the union chair for the university, and therefore a union trustee. Could you, in 60 seconds, summarise the new union strategy as described in the last trustee meeting that you attended?
Wow. Wow.
I'll give you a minute to think about that. I'll come back to you whilst I ask the others a question. So, Kizo,
Yeah.
you, in your introductory answer, mentioned your Rate Your Landlord survey. Have you spoken to University Surrey Lettings about your idea?
No, actually, I have not spoken to them yet, but I was reading going through their introduction page where they've only got 3 lettings that are actually working with the uni at the moment, which I think is not a lot. There should be more, giving us more opportunities to accommodate students with the houses. So yeah, I haven't talked to them yet about it.
Why did you not think to talk to them about your idea before you...
Because, to be very honest, I was basically focusing on the election campaign, and I thought
Is this
that...
not part of your campaign?
No, I meant, it is, obviously it is, but I wanted to actually focus on it at the moment. This is the reforms I'll be bringing afterwards, it's not what I'm bringing right now.
Okay, but you're bringing your ideas to the students right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've been to speak to the University Surrey Lettings, like I did earlier in this week, you'll know that they're already talking about a Rate Your Landlord scheme.
Are they?
And it's already kind of underway.
So that means they stole my idea then?
Or they thought of it first. So my follow-up question to that is, you also mentioned having a feedback, like a complaints box. Mm-hmm. So how would you ensure that your Rate Your Landlord scheme won't become a Slate Your Landlord scheme, and the positive comments that people have about their housing will get represented?
The Rate Your Landlord survey is different from the complaint box that I was talking about. The Rate Your Landlord is literally where you rate. Obviously, there's going to be students who like their landlords and they're going to say good things about it. And then there are going to be students who don't like their landlords and are going to say bad stuff about it. But it's going to be literally average weighted. So, for example, in an accommodation, it's not necessary that there's only going to be one tenant there. There's going to be a couple more. And if they all have mixed views, we're going to be taking an average of the rating. And what was the second part of your question?
How would you ensure that the positive comments get out there?
Basically, what I was thinking of having a certain form that the students would have to fill. So there would be a positive comment and a negative comment related to if it was good or bad or whatever it was. And then obviously the landlords who are rated quite high, I was thinking of actually promoting them more to the students and telling them these landlords had a better rating from the other landlords compared to last year's survey, and we think that you guys should actually go to them first and maybe attempt to get an accommodation there. Okay,
thank you. And I'd just like you to just briefly summarise your final point on your manifesto, because I don't really understand it, to be honest. What are you talking about in your final point?
Basically, I'm trying to strengthen the union and student relations. What I realized when I came in my first year, I didn't even know there was a student union. The first thing I knew about was the societies, and the first thing I joined was my society. I didn't join I didn't have enough information about the students' union. So what I was thinking was having either the Society of the Month to actually promote the societies to do more events. If they're doing good events, the union should be there to promote them and make them, because in a way they're actually helping the students. They're helping the students have a better experience at the union. at the uni. And I was thinking of having like a meeting either every month or every 2 months where all the society representatives come and meet. And the reason why I wanted to do this was because there are many societies who don't have enough finance to actually make an event. And with that meeting, the union is actually linking all the different societies together. So if there's another society who shares the same idea as, for example, a third society, they can actually collaborate together and come up with an event, which is good in a way because the students feel more part of the society and feel more part of the uni.
So I guess you'll be collaborating very closely with VP Activity.
Yeah.
On that point. Okay, thank you. And finally, Helena, you ran for a community zone position in the by-election last November, and you didn't get elected. Why do you think you didn't win the votes of students back in November?
Honestly, I looked back at my manifesto for that campaign when I started working on this campaign, and I slightly wanted to hit myself in the face. I didn't have my ideas straight. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have enough knowledge of what the union was currently doing, and it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. Since then, I've got a lot more involved in what's going on in the union. I've attended exec meetings. I had a really long chat with Saskia as to what they've been up to this year, and have basically just informed myself a lot more what's actually happening and what the major issues are and what needs to be done.
So what changes have you made to your manifesto to reflect that knowledge that you've gained?
Obviously, I have a massive focus on the housing situation. Whilst back in November, I was vaguely aware of, yes, my rent had gone up this year, but I hadn't realised the extent of the situation. Because I was staying in the same house, I hadn't looked into what the rent prices of other places were. And so it was something that hadn't entered my head at the time. I have kept... hang on.
Do you want a copy of your own manifesto?
I've got it in front of me. I don't know why I'm looking at yours.
Because mine has notes on it. I don't know.
Sorry. I do apologise.
That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and another thing, which was honestly an idea... Oh, are we calming? Okay, cool. Another thing, which is honestly an idea that I came up with from just chatting to some of my friends around campus, was my practical skills session idea, which is something that I really, really want to get behind, because essentially there are a lot of things that students come to university not knowing how to do, and it's things that you don't necessarily think, that it's not a life skill that I need in my life. It's not something that will necessarily benefit. You can get by without it. But if you think about it, if you're trying to fix something in your car, I'm not the best at car mechanics, so please don't shoot me on this, but like if you need to fix a headlight and you get someone to do it, it's going to be sort of 70 odd quid. Or you could go to Halfords and buy it for 15 quid and fit it yourself. Something that simple is saving so much money. And it's the same across various other things, whether it's cooking, so you can work out how to budget things, so buy something that is a little cheaper and make something which is actually a lot of the time slightly nicer than ordering a takeaway. And things like that. And especially with the way that university life is at the minute, everything is expensive, rent is expensive, living in general is just expensive. If you can save a bit of money anywhere and learn some practical skills, it's going to be really important.
Thank you, Helena. So, Zainab, you've had a little bit of time to think of a reply to that giant question. So, can you summarise the new union strategy as described in the last trustee meeting?
Wow, okay. So basically, one of the main things that the trustees wanted to have was an impact. So basically, we created a triangle of the 3 most important things that the union would like to do moving forward. I remember the top of that list being impact. I'm not specifically sure because, to be honest, I haven't gone over the meeting. It happened a couple of weeks ago. Impact, satisfaction, and if I remember correctly, it was participation or performance. I'm not particularly sure. But
I think that's the right answer.
Thank you. You have to cut me some slack, but basically those are the 3 things that the union wanted to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. So I'm going to take a question from the floor if anybody has a question for our candidates. We've got one down here. So with the answers to these questions, I'm just going to ask you to be as brief as possible because we're hastily running out of time. So if you could just introduce yourself and then ask your question.
Hey, I'm Connor. My question was, community have done some really good work this year, especially with alternative events, such as the non-alcoholic events that people have been talking about. How do you make sure that such wouldn't fall by the wayside during the handover, especially with your main points as your manifesto also?
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to offer an answer first?
Hi. So basically, one of the things I'm really keen on doing if I do become VP Community is this thing called the Clash of the Courts. Because when I first came to Surrey, I missed my freshers week, unfortunately. But I've gone around talking to people in my year, and they told me that during their first week, they had this thing where they battled different courts, different games. And up to now, they're still so proud, and they still feel the spirit of community, knowing that they have won or they won the battle against Stag Hill. There's still some like little beef between Bellaby Court and the people of Manor Park, things of the sort. And I want to continue events like this, alternative events. I want to introduce things like jazz cafes and world cultural cinema nights, because I feel like as much as Rubix is good and people like the typical night out, there should be other events for people. Like, because someone like me, I don't really go to Rubix. I can count the amount of times I've been to Rubix, honestly, but I feel like alternative events, jazz cafes, things of the sorts, just some things where people can lay back and relax is one of the things that I prioritize myself in. Also, the World Cinema Nights is something I'm really, 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 really invested in, because I feel like there's a wide range of diversity at Surrey, and we really need to be learning more about each other and the places we come from and things that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Helena, would you like to respond next?
Yeah. So obviously there have been a lot of alternative nights, and by all means we have to keep them. The idea of coming to university is getting so much more out of your experience than just your lectures, and even just your societies. Like if you can come along to an event that isn't necessarily society specific, or even is a collaboration of multiple societies, and meet new people, make new friends, it just adds that extra experience to it. And some of the times you can even learn some extra skills. So we've got things like open mic night, which are reasonably well attended, but they are not attended the way they used to be. I know this is to do with the transition into Harry's Bar, and I think that Harry's Bar is a space that we can definitely make a much better use of, putting more events in there. I know some events have been tried in there over the last year, and some of them haven't worked out. Whether or not this is through advertising or just the appeal factor of them. But I think it is a perfect space to be able to do some more alternative events.
Thank you, Helena. And finally, Kizo.
To be very honest, the community has done an amazing job, but I still think it lacks in a few events that are targeted towards international students, mainly. Targeted towards international students. For example, a few weeks ago, there was a Shisha night and a FIFA night at Front Room, which wasn't organized by the community. It was organized by societies that collaborated together. And that's what I want to emphasize on. I want different societies to come together and collaborate, which in a way would help the community zone as well, because they're doing events, making students happy. At the same time, if the community is happy, we are happy. And that works out for everyone. With the activities like Rubix and stuff like that, I realized that there should be more I-galas. There's only one throughout the year. I think there should be more for the students who actually come in either first semester on exchange or second semester on exchange. They somehow miss out on one of the most important events of the year. And the current activities are they're very good, but I still think that they need improvement in them. So, yeah.
Thank you, Kizo. So I think we'll do a bit of a paper activity next. So if you've all got a sheet of paper and a pen in front of you, could you make me an origami representation of what VP community is?
You need a pen.
No, that's a joke. That's a joke. No. So you are going to be working closely with the community, obviously. So I want you to name the 5 wards of Guildford that are closest to the university. So for those of you that don't know, a ward is an administrative division of a town or city which has local councillors, and VP Community will have to liaise with each of the councillors in the wards around the University of Surrey. So there are 5 different wards. Can you name them?
By wards, like I still don't really understand the question, sorry.
So a ward is an administrative division of a city or borough that typically elects councillors, and they vote on issues. So there's 5 different regions around the university. So you might know them more as kind of areas of of larger kind of areas around the university.
So you basically mean like the accommodation names? Is that what you're trying to talk about?
No, they're the wards of the local town.
Okay.
So
all right.
maybe the other candidates can fill you in with their answers. Okay, so I'll give you 10 more seconds. Hands up if those of you in the audience know what a ward is, or could name a number of the 5 wards of the local area. That's interesting. There's maybe half of you out there. Less than half. But it's kind of an important part of a VP community role, I think. Okay, so should we start from my right?
Yeah.
Helena, I'm going to need you to read them out. So
It's all
that,
right. I've not got all of them. I did spend a long time trying to work out at which point they all ended, and I've completely managed to forget half of them. But the ones I can remember are Onslow, Stoughton, I think Park Barn counts as a ward, but I'm not sure. And there's Something and Friary, which again, I can't remember the first half of that one.
So I'll give you 3 out of 5. Kizo?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any information.
Okay, and Zainab?
Okay, so there's Parkban, I don't know if Boreham and Merrow fits in, there's Stockton, I wrote Boxgrove and Westborough.
So which ones did you say, sorry?
I said Parkban, Boreham and Merrow, I think. Boreham and Merrow,
It's a bit further out, but it is one of the wards.
Yeah, I'm not specifically sure about like the exact geography. There's Stockton, I think
that's one.
Boxgrove, Westborough,
Yeah,
wrote
that's one.
Belfields as well, but I'm not sure.
Closest wards are Stoke, Stoughton, Westborough, Onslow and Friary, or Friary St Nicholas. So yeah, you kind of did okay. So for my follow-up question, what's the one question that you would ask Paul Spooner? Maybe the first part of my question should be, who is Paul Spooner? And then what question would you ask him? Zainab?
That's the head of Guildford Borough Council, I think. Let me see, what would I ask him? I'd ask him to please take our housing manifesto incredibly serious.
Kizo, what about you?
I think I'd like to ask him, in a way, if he could actually help the uni students and the community to actually help figure out where there would be good places where someone can find accommodations, or what they'd recommend to us through their surveys or whatever research they have done.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Helena?
I would obviously ask him very much, please pay attention to our housing manifesto, but also, could you reconsider doing car park stuff, please? And essentially, could you make the car park student accommodation as opposed to accommodation for Guildford residents and families who are going to have issues with us walking through it? into town.
Thank you very much. So we've just got a little bit more time for a quick final grilling. But I'm going to take a step back for this one. I'm going to ask you each to ask each other one question that you'd really like to know the answer to. So,
Question of our manifesto.
so you can ask somebody, if you've got their manifestos, ask them a question that you'd like them to answer. So, Zainab, would you like to ask Helena a question?
Could I look at her manifesto, please? Thank you. Let's see. Oh. Sorry, 1 second.
It's all right, you can be mean.
I think there's a couple of questions that I've written on there that you,
Oh.
you could ask.
Okay.
Is that cheating?
Wow. That's harsh. Okay, so question I'd like to ask is, why do you think we need to have a fundraiser run by students for local residents?
Okay, so this was an idea that I wanted to do basically because getting Guildford residents to understand what's going on campus and getting involved with what's going on in campus has always been a struggle. We have Free Fest every year, which is a huge success, but the number of Guildford residents that actually attend it is quite low. So if we design something specifically for Guildford residents, run by the students as a fundraiser for a charity and a good cause, I think it's a really good way to get them to actually get involved and see that we're not actually horrible students.
And then Helena, I'm going to ask you to ask a question to Kizo.
Yep. Okay. Your your landlord thing that you want to introduce, is it feasible in the housing market, which doesn't really have room for choice? There aren't enough houses for students. If it's rated as a bad house, what are you going to do to students who are like, yeah, it might be bad, but I need somewhere to live?
It's actually it's kind of a regulation where it's not only just to let the students know, it's also to let the Guildford Council know that look how the landlords are treating their students. So in a way, we could take it to the council and they could actually put some more reinforcements on it, because at the moment there are not very much any reinforcements on the accommodation. I also think that our uni actually removed the whole guaranteed accommodation for international students in third year also and in first year, which I think is quite unfair for them. So in a way, this survey would actually help the students actually know how much it is. I know it might not be very effective, but the problem is that it would somehow create some sort of regulation, some sort of a viewpoint, something to actually compare with. And in a way, the landlords are actually getting bad reviews would be the ones getting the tenants probably the most, like at the end of the semester or at the end of the time compared to the other ones. And this would actually tell the letting agencies that the houses that they're actually working with are not eventually being or keeping up to the mark that has been promised to the students.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And finally, Kizo, if you'd like to ask Zainab a question. There's the manifesto.
Why are you not done?
Because I feel like I have a lot more to offer.
Short and sweet. Right, okay, this is actually the last question of the evening. I think it's from Twitter, I'm not too sure. So the front room is regularly being vandalised overnight. Would you support closing it at night to prevent this? So I just want a quick yes or no answer. Would you support closing the front room at night to prevent the vandalism? Helena?
No.
No.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Why?
It's been vandalized. The Students' Union has tried so hard to create a safe space for students. The front room, when it first when it first came into being, was such a beautiful place. Now, look at it. If you go there now, it's being loitered. There's trash everywhere. Chairs are being broken constantly. We need to show students that they need to learn how to appreciate more property on campus, especially if the union has fought so hard to create such a safe space for people. I know a lot of people might not agree with me, and that's fine, but I feel like the front room needs to be maintained at a higher standard, and if we're going to do that, then there needs to be some form of regulation to it. You know, right now people are allowed to drink there, that's cool, but where should we set the limits? It needs to be closed at night unless people are going to keep on vandalizing it.
Okay, and just so it's a fair playing ground, just very briefly explain why you said no, just to the two of you.
I think because front room is a place where a person can actually go and relax from all the stress they have throughout the uni. And in general, uni students actually stay up late till night. So if you close front room at night, it's kind of taking away their chill spot, and then they'd eventually go to their accommodations, which would cause noise, and then eventually lead to the security coming to knocking to your door and telling you to quiet down. What I think is that we're actually closing down, like if we shut it down at night, we're actually taking away the good people, the facilities they could have had just because of some people that were being very careless. I think instead we should have at least some sort of security person who actually comes around, looks at it after every hour or 2 hours to keep a check in case there are actually drunk people drinking.
And finally, Helena.
As Kizo said, we have a 24-hour security service who go around and make sure that nothing is happening in all the halls. Why can't they go around and make sure that there is a reasonable respect being paid to the front room, which is an amazing space, which people do use, and people get a lot out of being able to use it. And there aren't that many places on campus that you can just go and relax, and you can go and relax at any point. The spaces in the library, yeah, sure, but it's the library. If you want to actually chill out and have a bit of downtime with your friends, you don't want to do it there. If you're second or final year and you're living off campus and you live a little bit further out one way and your friend lives a little bit further out the other way, being able to meet on campus during the nighttime and just get together and have a game of FIFA or have a game of pool, it's the perfect space. And it's even better because it's not like going to a bar where you end up having to spend loads of money on drinks, even if you're not drinking alcoholic drinks, just to be in the bar. It is a space that you can just go and enjoy yourself.
Thank you, Helena. Let's let you have that applause. Thank you, everybody, for your attention this evening. That's this final debate over. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Welcome back to the front room, where we are not vandalising it. We are sitting here relaxing, just as Helena says. We only have 6 minutes before YouTube cuts us off. We can carry on, but it won't be played back. So we'll talk very quickly. Alex, you said they weren't on fire. Nobody stood out.
No, I think we saw a little bit of Zainab's passion come out at the end, which was really good, but I think they all played it quite safe, and I think that was, if I'm honest, quite disappointing to see for people going for a full-time position.
To win, you need to stand out. Andre, did anybody stand out for you for the right reasons?
I've got to say, no, I don't think so. I think it started off quite interesting, and there were some confrontational questions early on, but really, when they had their chance to say their thing, as Alex said, it was all quite safe, said the right things. You got a sense of what areas they're particularly interested in, but no, there wasn't an obvious superstar there.
Sophie, do you think the zone will be better or not next year with one of those in charge?
No one can replace Saskia for me. She's just so bubbly and she's got so much energy and passion for the zone. And as we were saying, I just didn't see it. I'm not sure how I'd vote. Zainab knew her stuff. Maybe that's because she's the chair, and that's maybe why she knew so much stuff. She's around the VPs a lot, but I just don't know who's got the fire.
Though there was a few moments where Zainab was slightly speechless.
True. I know she's very shy and public speaking isn't necessarily her strongest point. I know she's got the passion, but for VP you need to be able to have the voice to speak out as well, which is important. So
I suppose we had that comparison tonight with Kizo, who first of all started the night by standing up and gyrating.
Yes.
Zainab, who started the night by being a lot more shy and nervous. James, this really should be an outgoing, gregarious post, really, and this is a position that you will tend to work with very closely.
Yes, and I agree with my colleagues around the panel today. I don't think we saw much passion. I thought the best person on the panel tonight actually was Emily. So I think the future of the Charlie Eastoe style of debate chairing is safe, and all the good for it.
Yes, I think credit to all the student chairs tonight. They have done a great job. I've done it many years. It's very difficult. You're getting questions on the floor, you're getting messages on your screen and everything. And of course, the audience are looking for some entertainment as well. They asked, what would you ask Paul Spooner? Of course, housing comes up again. Paul is going to be here in the next couple of nights. I'm going to put you on the spot. Well, if you were standing for this position, what would you ask Paul Spooner?
I would ask him where he'd build all the houses that students could afford to live in. I'm not sure he'll answer it, but I would say
that would really put
Actually, I have asked him and he didn't answer it, so good luck to you.
What would you ask the leader of Guildford Borough Council?
I'd like to know why they're putting houses multiple occupation on the car park rather than purpose-built student accommodation. It's the perfect location, and Walnut Tree Close is already trailed with noisy students as complaints constantly, so why put more houses multiple occupation right next to the uni when there's the only two ways in really from town? It doesn't make sense to me.
If we think that Walnut Tree Close has got it bad, it's nothing compared to what's going to happen at Guildford Park Road. Alex, we know what you're going to ask him because it's all in the manifesto.
I'd actually ask him something differently. I think well, obviously everything in the manifesto is what I'd ask him, but I think obviously an issue around housing is the fact that we have all this amazing greenbelt land in Guildford, but there's a lot of people who don't think houses should be built on it. So I would ask Paul Spooner what more would he do to try and tackle those who think that houses shouldn't be built there, because there's nowhere else they can go. There's not a lot of brownfield sites going in Guildford. It's got to be built on greenbelt, and how would he do that?
James, the University of Surrey is right in the maelstrom of this. You know, the university wants to build housing. The public want them to build student housing. This is a huge area of difficulty for the university.
The university is building housing. The university also wants the local community and the local authority to encourage house building.
It is building student housing.
The university is building student housing. We want purpose-built student accommodation built in town as well. We know it has to be a mixed economy with both. So the question I'd ask Paul Spooner is which of the property developers that we know want to come and invest in Guildford and to build purpose-built student housing in Guildford, which of those is he going to speak to and when?
We are coming up to the end of the YouTube live broadcast that you'll be able to see back. We'll be able to carry on, but you won't be able to watch it back. So if you have been affected by any of the issues in tonight's programme, you can go to the Union website, www.ussu.co.uk. You will see the Living at the Limit logo at the top. Click on that and it will take you to the page where you can add your voice to this campaign. What we do with that is we take your name and address and what you say, and we send it on to people like Paul Spooner and the other Guildford Borough councillors and Anne, and perhaps we might see some of your comments in the letters pages of the Surrey ad as well. Tomorrow night, this continues. We have the other VP position. What do we have tomorrow night, Alex? We have VP activity, a big part, and of course, you can carry on. You've been very respectful on Twitter tonight. It's been great to see your comments and your encouragement for candidates as well. That's very good and that's very important for them. So continue tweeting for hashtag SurreyDecides and continue to get involved. You get your voting link sent to your Surrey 365 email account sometime on Tuesday. We'll carry on. Rounding up our little discussion. So that was a mix of internal and external stuff. We didn't talk hugely, not as much as we did with his own members, about the on-campus community and certainly about VP fun, entertainment and the like. Was that a missed opportunity for them, Alex?
What, specifically around VP fun?
Yeah.
I think so. I think a lot of the debate focused on housing, rightly so, because that is a big issue at the moment. But I think Sophie's already highlighted, Sophie's a zone member at the moment, community zone member. Saskia is currently VP Community. She brings a lot of energy and passion to the role. And I think, but I think that goes for any position. Like I said earlier, you've got to have passion and energy to just speak on behalf of students, regardless of what your role is, speak on behalf of anyone. And that really didn't come through tonight. Whether or not they were given the opportunity, maybe there could have been some more directed questions, sure, time is limited. But yeah, that didn't shine through tonight, so they're going to have a hard job when it comes to campaigning and putting that across.
James, if you were chairing tonight and you were going to ask a question, what would you have asked?
What would I've asked those candidates?
Yeah.
I think I'd have liked to have known when Kizo came up with the idea for the Rate Your Landlord scheme.
Yeah. Okay, good point. Andre, we already know what you asked. I think, how can we get, and I know this is something we've gone round to the houses, but everybody keeps on talking about this town and gown problem. And I think there is a bit of a feeling now, correct me if I'm wrong, that the university community, the students are reaching out, and I think we need to see something coming back from the people of Guildford. Do you think that's what we're lacking now?
Sorry.
Sorry, I said okay, and then I looked at all of them.
Oh, okay.
Well, firstly, was your round the houses thing a pun, or was that an accidental?
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, you said we've been round the house. No, okay, it was an accident. Well, that's interesting. I wasn't aware that there was a feeling that there was no response from other residents, non-student residents. I mean, I know you guys are in contact with the wardens and the councillors. I think it's been mentioned a few times tonight that events within the community, more so than there are now, could be a good thing, and could well be. Other than that, I don't have a clear answer. I just keep talking, keep trying. Other thing to say is there has been discussion at times about more connections across the river. I keep banging on about geography, but there has been discussion at times about more connections across the river, across the rails, to actually the campus and to the centre of town. If that could be achieved, and if the riverfront gets sorted, then there will be a closer link anyway.
Sophie, in your time as a student here, have you met any hostility towards you as being a student?
From the community?
Yeah.
No, not specifically. I don't feel like I've been targeted by organisations, communities, people. No, I do my bit to try and keep the peace. I'm quite a peaceful person. I'm not very hostile. So I guess I don't rock the boat enough to get challenged in the street. But no, I feel fairly welcome wherever I go. I think the problem is with minorities. I don't consider myself a minority, but yeah.
I think also because we obviously naturally focus on where issues do arise, it can sometimes paint that it's a huger, wider thing.
Yeah.
And it's, most people will have very good experiences, but there will be problems, and it's those areas we don't want to make this sound like every time a student walks down the street there's aggression.
Alex, it's VP activity tomorrow night. You know something about that.
I do, yeah.
What is your top tips for the VP activity candidates?
Try and refrain from talking about sports and societies, because that's not what the role encompasses. Obviously, you sit on the Team Surrey board. You work with the Society Exec Chair and Team Surrey Chair. So there are elements where you're connecting with clubs and societies, but it's about student opportunity and student engagement. It's not all about sports and societies. We're not looking for a VP sport or a VP society. So it'd be interesting to see which candidate has kind of grasped that job description and understands the role.
James, you've sat on this sofa and watched many elections. What is the top tip from you for tomorrow night's candidates?
Remember to bring substance. Have some proposals. Think of a programme you want to implement, and be prepared to speak about it. It's all about substance.
James, Alex, Coin earlier, Sophie, Andre, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Obviously, an event like this doesn't happen on its own. And there's been huge volunteer support from Stage Crew, Stag TV, Stag Radio, all the medias, the chairs, Emily, Hannah, Connor, all the staff that have worked behind the scenes, but there'll be plenty of that in the next 2 nights. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your comments on Twitter. We'll see you again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock down here in the front room, or upstairs on Rubix, or at home on YouTube. Until then, good night.